Oh my gosh, new lighting. Guys, Saturn's finally out of Aquarius. I can just like be normal now. Life is too short to not like iced coffee. Just throwing that out there as well. Hi. Hello. Welcome back to my witch obsession. And today's video is very exciting for so many different reasons because first of all, it's a collab with Capricorn Venus Tarot and Moonful Readings. We've collabed together before and they're just like my new besties now, especially Capricorn Venus and Moonful, like girl. Anyways, Capricorn Venus will be doing What Makes You Unforgettable, and Moonful will be doing What Makes You Unique, and I will be doing What Makes You Irreplaceable. It's kind of the same thing, just like different shades of it, if you know what I mean, but like, you know what I mean. Same idea. And I'll link their videos in the description box. Do go check them out. I love their energy, and their readings, at least in my experience, are always really accurate. And to be transparent, I haven't really been watching readings that much lately because I feel like I've been going about my life pretty intuitively here, but that's not to say that their readings aren't top quality. If you like me, even remotely, you're gonna like them, trust me. But yeah. And also, new lighting today. As you can see, I'm filming at night today. I'll talk more about it in a ramble because I don't want to waste your time. So yeah, today we have 4 piles here. With pile 1, we have the Everyday Witch Tarot. Pile 2, we have the Moonvoid Tarot. Pile 3, we have the Lovely Omens Tarot. And pile 4, we have the Golden Thread Tarot. So yeah, those are the piles we have today, and timestamps will be in the description box as usual. And yeah, I feel like that's all I have to say. If you've already chosen your pile, then proceed, have fun. But if you want to listen to me ramble for an extra minute or two, then hi. First of all, thank you all so much for the support lately. I didn't post on Tuesday because as most of you may know, I went through a breakup Sunday afternoon, and I was honestly a mess the first 2 days. Literally, had I filmed on Monday, because Monday and Thursdays are usually when I film. Today's Wednesday, but you know, I'm changing things up. But what I'm trying to convey here is that like it was rough. I was literally ugly crying nonstop because like, long story short, like just wasn't serving me anymore. And yeah, it was really difficult, but I don't know, like I felt the love. I really did feel the love. And like it was a breath of relief, you know? And honestly, like I just want to say like all of your comments, all of your subscriptions and all that, not to sound cliche or like, you know, cheesy, it really did help. And it made me realize just how appreciated I am outside of a romantic perspective, you know? And I don't know, like I was just really blindsided, but I don't know. I'm thoroughly convinced that YouTube has been one of the best decisions I've ever made. I literally consider every single one of you like my best friend. Like I love you guys so much. And it's just like I love talking to you guys. I love reading what you guys have to say. You know, maybe I won't respond because I'm like awkward, but like do know I read all of your comments. I literally love you guys. But I also feel like Saturn leaving Aquarius just like took out a lot of friction in my life. I feel less anxious. I feel less nervous. I feel less just inclined. I don't know. I also found out my mom went through her second Saturn return. She just finished it because I think her Saturn's in Aquarius. I just found that out and I was like, girl, no wonder. But yeah, and I don't know, like I've been feeling really emotionally liberated, and I don't know, I just feel so much better. I feel like I've been taking self-care more seriously. I've been taking my health in every sense of the way more seriously. And honestly, like I feel like we've all collectively taken a breath of fresh air. Like we've all literally just taken a deep breath. And it's just like I want you to know that if you're not doing okay or if you're feeling some type of way, it will get better and it will pan out, and none of your hardships and none of your, pain will go to waste. No feeling is a waste, okay? And you deserve what you want, and it will come to you as long as you believe it will. And even if you don't believe it will, it literally will find you. So like, what's good? But yeah, I don't know. I feel like today's ramble is gonna be really long, but I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm just gonna wrap up this ramble by saying, like, I literally just appreciate you guys so much, and I wish I could literally just DM all of you one by one, big, I literally love you so much, but that'd be kind of weird. And it's just like, I hate to sound cliche or like typical, like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for you guys. Like, you guys make me so happy. But it's true. Like, I don't know. You guys are literally the best. And I'm so glad that you guys, especially the people who like are, how do I say, regulars at my channel, like, don't act like I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. You guys are amazing. And I hope you know that I send all of you love. So yeah, I think that's all I have for in today's ramble. So see you at your reading. I love you. Hello, pile 1. If you chose this everyday witch tarot, this is going to be your reading for what makes you irreplaceable. So if you didn't know, this video is a collab with Capricorn Venus Tarot and Moonful Readings. I literally put it everywhere, but like, maybe you didn't know. But yeah, do go check out their videos in the description box below. I'm not forcing you to, neither are they, but it's just like, if you like me, you'll like them, trust me. That's all I like to say. So we have some oracle cards here, and I hope you didn't see me putting them face up. I don't know why, but like, I just feel like obligated to like keep them this way, not the other way, you know what I mean? But anyways, let's just get right into it. So for your oracle cards, we have number 41, Purification. Something that is never truly yours. This lighting's kind of challenging. And Fortune. So right off the bat, pile 1, I feel like with the Purification card, so we have Gemini here. And I must say, I feel like for this particular pile, there is heavy Gemini energy. Whether or not you have those placements, I'm particularly sensing Gemini Moon. But, that's for only those that need the extra confirmation. But what I'm trying to say here is Gemini energy. I feel like Gemini is just that person that gives you that social setting. I feel like a conversation with a Gemini or like a date, whether it be romantic or platonic with a Gemini, is literally like no other. And you really cannot tell me otherwise, okay? It's just like Geminis know how good they are with people. I feel like Geminis are like the perfect people person. Like, I feel like they're better one-on-one. I feel like Libras are the same way. I feel like all air signs are just really good with people, but like people don't really talk about how good Geminis are. And I feel like one thing that makes you really irreplaceable is your conversational skills, your intellect, and how like smart you are and how good you are. And like, I feel like you're also very like good at in situations where you may not have enough. And what I mean by that is I feel like you're really good at scraping by when you need to. You're a really good survivor. That's not to say that like you're always surviving, but what I'm trying to say here is that you never let the circumstances let you down or bring you down. I feel like with this Fortune card here and something that is never truly yours, it seems as if though like you always are in a position to give, or you're always gaining, you're always climbing, you're always grinding. And I don't know how to explain it. Like, it just seems as if though like you always are just on the go and you're always so like lucky, and you seem very fortunate, whether or not you may feel like it, but it's just like, it seems as if though like the circumstances always work out in your favor, and it seems as if though that. And also with the Purification card here, I just feel like you're a very healing person to be around. You make me, when I was looking at your oracles earlier, it just gave me this vibe of like that one friend, like when you really need to go out and you really need to just like, be out and have a good conversation. You're literally that person. You are that person. If anyone goes out with you, it is just a grand old time. There is never a blurry or like a lame moment with you. And not to say that the other piles are lame or something, but I'm just saying like there's never a dull moment with you. And I feel like what makes you so irreplaceable is the fact that you can just make, like, you can really just make a grand old time. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, you're just so fun to be around, and your energy is so like tailored to you, you know? It's just like you're so good at reading people, and you're so like just fun to be around, you know? Like you are like the definition of like a good friend. And also I'm thinking snapdragons here because that's what this card is. I feel like snapdragons are very like unconventional, and what I mean by that is I feel like, you know, when you think of flowers, you think of like the more mainstream flowers, or like the more popular flowers like roses, you know, carnations, tulips. You don't really think snapdragons. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised like if you aren't that into flowers, you would be like, what is a snapdragon? Or like, oh yeah, I've heard of that. And the reason I'm bringing that up is I feel like you're very unique and unconventional in your ways. And I feel like one reason you're really irreplaceable, Pile 1, is I feel like you have very good music taste. And I feel like your taste and, you know, like is very like unique and very alt. How do I say? It's just like even from person to person that's watching this pile, I feel like all of you have different taste in food, music, you know, like clothing, fashion, things like that. And I feel like you guys have just a way with accessorizing and navigating the material world. And I feel like that's really one thing that makes you just so like just like one of a kind, you know, in the sense that like ain't nobody gonna meet another person that's into the same things as you. And it's like obviously your interests really play into you being an interesting person. I just feel like you're a very fascinating person and someone who's really fun to talk to and express ideas with. It's just like no one's gonna meet somebody as open-minded and fun to be around as you, you know. No one's gonna have as many laughs and like have as much fun with you. You're literally like just so like, I don't know how to say, like you're just delicious to be around, Pile 1. And I feel like you kind of know it. And the reason I'm saying this is because I have a Gemini in my 7th house, and like deep down, I just know like when people hit me with that let's meet in person, I know I have them in the bag because I feel like you're that person too. Like you are just so much better in person. Like people think you're good over text or like over the call, but it's like in person you're even better. Like you're literally like the perfect date, Pile 1. I don't really know how to explain it. And with this fortune card here, I also feel like you bring a lot of fortune and good luck to people's lives. I feel like the circumstances you bring to people's lives is like no other. And this is probably a very specific message, but I wouldn't be surprised if you've brought a lot of money to people, or you've gotten people to a really good financial status, or if people seemingly just like make a lot of money when they're around you. I feel like that's like a very like weird message. I feel like if that doesn't resonate, just like, I don't know. Very specific message is what I'm trying to say. But it's pretty safe to say that like I also feel like with the something that is never truly yours, I also feel like maybe you're kind of a hard person to pin down, you know, with that Gemini energy. I feel like no one can really pin you down and no one can like tie you down. And what I mean by that is I feel like people can never find someone to replace you. And simultaneously, it's just like hard to keep you. And not like in a non-committal way. Maybe for some of you it is non-committal. But what I mean by that is I feel like people can't really tell you what to do, or people can't seem to tame you or like lock you down. And because of that, it's just like what it makes me think of is like, say you're the kind of person that really loves rainy weather and you're just always hoping rainy weather happens. So when it's rainy weather, you're just like thriving. You're literally so happy. You're like, oh my gosh, yes, it's raining. I freaking love rain. Or like you really like sunny weather, you know, and it's finally sunny. It's like, oh my gosh, I love sunny weather. If you love sunny weather, literally just go to California. But you know what I'm trying to say here is that somebody who favors rainy weather can't really predict rainy weather, nor can they force the weather to be rainy, you know? And it's just like, when it is here, it is just so amazing. And I feel like that's how people that have had the privilege of meeting you feel, you know? They just love to have you around, but they can never force you to have you around. Or like, you know, like having you around is solely on your own accord. You know, they can ask you, but like maybe they won't be guaranteed to have you around, and because like you're just so flighty and you're just so like always on to the next thing. And so as a result, I feel like people that get to witness you, you know, multiple times or like consistently, they're just like having you around. It's like they can't get enough of you, you know, they can't get enough of that, like, you know, they can't get enough of that rainy weather, you know. they're just like, oh my gosh, I wish this person would just stay around forever, you know? Or like, oh my gosh, I wish I had just a little bit longer with this person. No, you're just so irresistible. And I also feel like with this purification card, I also feel like you're quite pure in a lot of your intentions. I feel like you really don't have like a negative bone in your body. I feel like you're just very optimistic, and I feel like you're just so like positive, especially with other people. Maybe you're like very hard on yourself, or you're very critical of yourself, but with other people, like perhaps you've jinxed a lot of people, or you've brought a lot of good fortune into other people's lives just by like telling them, oh, why are you even worrying, you're gonna make lots of money, and then suddenly they're just like making lots of money, and you're like, oh well, you know what I mean? It's just like you bring so much fortune to people's lives, and you bring so much goodness to their lives, and it's just like you're just so like irreplaceable in the sense that like you really bring something completely new to the table in terms of personality, in terms of luck and fortune, and just intellect, you know? And I hate for it to sound so generalized, but honestly, it's just like you're just so much fun to be around, and it's just like people love the fact that like you're always down and you always have a new idea, and it's like people never have to sit in boredom with you because like you seemingly always have an idea of, or like you seemingly always have your next step planned. So it's like people don't have to feel like they are going to be bored of you, or people don't have to feel like, oh, like same old, you know? You're unpredictable, but yet simultaneously predictable in the sense that you're unpredictable. Does that make sense here? Yeah, let's get right into the tarot. Anyways, I feel like readings at night are just so much fun. I've also had this deck for a really long time now, like literally as long as these other decks, but I always forget I have it because the box for it is so big, and I like to keep all my decks in their designated boxes. I don't like taking them out or like leaving them out, or like putting them in like sachets or like, you know, like bags if I don't have to. So I keep this deck on a separate shelf. So I'd be forgetting about her sometimes, but today I was like, you know what? I want to use her. But yeah. What makes pile 1 so irreplaceable? Why is pile 1 irreplaceable? Why is pile 1 irreplaceable? Why is pile 1 irreplaceable? Alright. What do we have here? We have the Star. Okay, so you very well may have very prominent air placements in your charts because the Star rules over Aquarius. So, you know, we've already have Gemini, and so you may have, you know, Gemini or Aquarius in your chart, maybe even Libra. But aside from that, with the Star card, I just feel like you're also a very inspiring person. I like to think that like the Star card is about like goals, you know? I always like make this analogy that like, you know, in like Christmas movies and stuff, like they're always following the North Star, you know? I feel like you're that person. I feel like you bring so much guidance to people's lives just by like doing your own thing. And wow. I'm like stuttering over my words. But what I'm trying to say here is that like I feel like you are like the lighthouse in some people's lives, and maybe sometimes people have become very codependent because of that, or like, you know, very dependent on you because you bring so much guidance or like so much direction to somebody's life. For some of you, I wouldn't be surprised like if you've had romantic interests literally obsessed with you to a point where you're literally like having to block them on everything. But that's a very specific message. What I'm trying to say here is like you're like the lighthouse, you know, like whenever in those like typical like spooky or like, you know, like marine movies, there's like a lighthouse and the ship captains are like, oh my gosh, like lighthouse, like follow light, you know. There's this, okay, this is a very specific thing, but there's this episode of Scooby-Doo where like there's like a lighthouse and like the bad guy was up there and like the lighthouse was like on, and like the captain was like, oh my gosh, yes, lighthouse, and then the bad guy turned off the light and they were like, no, where to go, you know. It's kind of like that vibe. I feel like that's maybe sometimes the mentality people have had of you, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, Pile 1. You know, you're not dumb. You know, like people, like you've probably ripped yourself away from people's lives that have tried too hard to like lock you down, and they're just like, oh my gosh, like Pile 1's gone, what am I gonna do? Or like, you know, they're like frozen, you know. And with the Star card here, like I just feel like you bring so much like guidance and so much direction to people's lives. And I feel like by saying that, what I'm trying to get across, like what point I'm trying to get across here is the fact that like you're just somebody who's very motivated and inspired themselves, and you have very high standards. And once again, like, you may be very critical of yourself, or you may be very hard on yourself, which, by the way, stop that. Second of all, I just feel like by saying that, it's just you move with a lot of conviction even on a day-to-day basis, and it's just like you always have goals, and you're always just like asserting yourself whether or not other people are like with you, you know. I feel like you're the kind of person where you're like, you're either with me or against me, just that on that. I feel like you just really believe in yourself, as you should, but like, you know, you have a lot of confidence about where you're going, and you always like know your next move, like I said. And because of that, it's just like when people are around you, they sense that, and it naturally like motivates them to like know where they're going, you know. It motivates them to like go about their life a specific way, or, you know, like do what they want to do, you know. And it's just like people feel really comfortable around you because of that. You know, if people feel directionless, or if they're going about their days intuitively, you bring a lot of conviction and like purpose to their life, you know. And it's like not even in a codependent way, you know. It's just like even if people come up to you or like are around you and they're like, oh yeah, I want to do this, like you hype them up, you know. You're like, girl, like I'm all about that. Someone's like, oh yeah, like I just want to work here, and I'm gonna do this, and this, and then I'm hoping to get here, and you're gonna be like, yeah, you can literally do it. I don't see the problem, you know. Like, I'm supporting you. Like, shoot, like you're starting a small business. Let me buy your first product that you ever launch, you know. You're just such a supportive person, and you're just always down to help someone even when there's nothing in it for you, you know. You're just such a giving person, and perhaps in the past people have really taken advantage of that, but it's just like people realize, like, sometimes people haven't been able to realize just how giving you are until you're out of their life. And I feel like you simply just know when someone's taking advantage of you, and that's why people, like, especially like parasites, can't really handle you, because like they know that you know that they're taking advantage of you. And it's just like people cannot manipulate you. You literally, I feel like you're the kind of person that literally says, I'm not dumb, you know. And I just feel like people, like, I don't know, like, I just feel kind of like all over the place, because like I just feel like there's so many different reasons, obviously, but it's just kind of like a bunch of small little things that kind of add up, you know, and then just like a few big things, you know. I feel like it's the small things that really go unnoticed about you, like the little efforts, and I feel like they really add up, you know. And with the star card here, I also feel like maybe you have like a huge love for humanity. I feel like you're someone who really stands up for inclusivity, and people is just like doing what they want to do. You know, I feel like you're a big person when it comes to like small businesses, you know, self-employed people, entrepreneurs. I feel like you're all about that. So I feel like when people are like, oh, I'm trying to, you know, start a small business or like do this, you're like, girl, do it. You know, like, I'll support you, I'll help you, I'll do what I can, you know. You're just somebody who's so into that stuff, and you're just somebody who just really loves people, you know. I feel like you're the kind of person that, you know, will go to like, what are those, like a protest, or like you'll go to, you know, small business openings and things like that. You're just all about humanity and people feeling themselves and people doing what they love, you know. And because of that, it's just like such a pure love, you know. It's just so like genuine, and people can't find that anywhere else. And as a result, it's just something that really makes you just like irreplaceable. Like, it makes me think like you leave a pile one shaped hole in people's lives, you know, like you're like your own cookie cutter, and when you meet people, you like cookie cut a space in their heart, and they just like can't fill it with anything else but you, you know. It's just like you're like screaming and biting your lips right now, because like you literally know. What else do we have here? We also have Four of Wands. You've perhaps brought a lot of stability to people's lives. You may have fixed in your chart too, especially within the Sun and maybe Venus. So you might have like, I'm sensing also a lot of fire energy here, because it is the wands. So Leo, Sagittarius, Aries. I think you just have like a combination of air and fire in your chart, some of you. But, you know, whether or not you have those placements, what I'm trying to say here is like the Leo, fire, not Leo. You could be a Leo, but, you know, fire and Gemini. Fire and Gemini, really? Fire and air. Oh my gosh. Sorry, y'all. I'm just like all over the place right now. But, you know, that fire and air energy. I feel like fire and air make somebody just so like passionate and so like on the go, especially intellectually. Once again, it comes back to that. Like, your conversation skills are probably unmatched, and your speech is probably also unmatched. I feel like you probably have a really funny laugh. I feel like your laugh is something else. Like, I feel like when you laugh, other people start laughing too. Like, you're the kind of person where their laugh is just funnier than the joke that was told, you know? And anyways, with the Four of Wands here, I also feel like you're just like, you may be the life of the party, or you may be someone who is like the reason why the party's fun. Like, if someone's like, hey yo, like, let's make this get together fun, or like, let's make this party fun, like, you have to invite pile one. Like, pile one's how we're gonna get down, you know? They just know, you know? Like, you turn like a basic house party where people are just like drinking soda, eating chips, playing like house music, and then you come over and suddenly like there's like freaking strobe lights going on and loud music, and everyone starts screaming and like, I don't know, like break dancing, you know? And it's just like, you know how to have fun, you know? Like, you're the work hard and party even harder kind of person, pile one. And I must say, like, your energy is like one of a kind, you know? Obviously that's what the reading's about, but like, I just want to say that, like, you literally are the life of the party. And I feel like you also celebrate a lot. I feel like, you know, someone will be like, hey y'all, like, I just finished this hard class and I got an A. And, you know, to other people, maybe it's like, oh, like, as you should. But, like, you'll be like, girl, we're throwing a party, you know? Makes me think, like, people will be like, oh my gosh, it's my cousin's son's 4th birthday. We have to get down and we have to throw a party. You're that kind of person. You're always looking to celebrate. And because of that, like, you're just so enthusiastic and just such a joy to be around. Honestly, pile one, like, you're really something else. And it's just like, you're also just so like easy to talk to. I feel like literally anyone feels comfortable talking to you. I feel like all sorts of walks of life have gravitated towards you because of like your inclusive energy and like this air about you that just suggests that you're open to anyone, you know, like you're not discriminatory at all, like you're not judgmental. I feel like you're the last person to judge someone on, you know, like you just don't judge a book by its cover. And I feel like people also get the sense that like you're not too interested in backgrounds or like, you know, where people come from. Like you just care about the person themselves, you know. It's just like you're not one to criticize. What else do we have here? 7 of Wands. Lots of Wands energy. I wouldn't be surprised if you have a lot of fire in your chart. But with the 7 of Wands here, it leads me to believe that like you're also very defensive and also very protective. I feel like one thing that makes you really irreplaceable is that like you're very protective over those who come into your life or those you call loved ones, you know, like your lover, your friends, your family. You may be someone who's very family oriented, and I feel like you're the kind of person that like, you know, like your best friend, like you'll call them family, you know, like you're that kind of person. Sorry, that comes off as like derogatory, like that's just the kind of person you may be. But with the 7 of Wands here, I also feel like you're a firm believer in what you do and what you stand for and what other people stand for. I feel like you're the first person, if you see somebody getting bullied, you'll stand up for them, you know, like, I don't know, if you were to see someone get pushed into the lockers and getting their lunch money stolen, you'll be the first to step in and be like, what are you doing? And you'll literally fight them all, you know? Like, you're just the kind of person that will literally get down. You'll be like, girl, like, don't mess with this person. They're my friend, you know? Like, you're just so protective, and people love that about you, and it's definitely, like, a trademark of you, you know? Like, you just do not tolerate disrespect towards you or towards people you care about, or in general for the matter. I feel like even like you, I feel like you even don't tolerate disrespect towards people you don't even like, you know. You're the kind of person that's just like, you don't hold grudges, you know. You're a forgive and forget kind of person. You're just like, it's whatever, you know. I feel like maybe you do like maybe sometimes you do hold on to things, but like I feel like eventually with time you let them go and you really come to terms with things. And I feel like that's definitely something to learn from people, like something anyone can learn from you, honestly. And I just feel like you're the kind of person that's like, hey, I don't care if this person does this and this and this. It doesn't matter. Like, they still shouldn't be bullied or they still shouldn't be treated like this, you know? You're just like, just because this person's being weird doesn't mean that y'all should be disrespectful or y'all should be causing drama, you know? I just feel like you're the kind of person that fights for peace and civilized conversations, you know? I just feel like you're this kind of person that really believes in civilization and, you know, being civilized. You know, being organized and proper, you know. Like, you just really believe in manners. And I just feel like you really don't tolerate. I feel like you're the kind of person, if you're talking to someone and they just start acting crazy, yelling at you, you're just like, okay. And you literally just leave. I remember I saw this TikTok and this girl, she was like, people forget that, like, you can just leave, you know? Like, I remember she was like, I went to my wisdom teeth removal and the dentist was being so mean to me, so I just left. Like, you're not gonna put bad energy in my mouth, and you're not gonna, like, act all weird at my appointment. And I feel like that's the energy you embody, and definitely plays into why you're so irreplaceable, because you will leave at will. I feel like you'll be the first to be like, I'm thinking, like, someone starts acting weird at a dinner and you slam your hands down on the table and you're like, all right, I'm leaving, y'all. Like, this was fun. Like, sorry, y'all, but, like, y'all are kind of wasting my time. Y'all are being weird. Y'all are being rude. And, like, you're literally just a no-nonsense kind of person, you know, pile one. And it definitely plays into why you're so, like, irreplaceable, because, like, you're not fake, you know. You're very real and you're very upfront. And perhaps maybe sometimes people have been rubbed the wrong way by it, you know. People are like, oh my gosh, pile one's so, like, crazy, or, like, they're just so, like, rude or unapproachable. But it's like, you literally don't care, because I feel like you very much understand that if you act the way you want to act and you act true to yourself, you'll naturally attract the people that you want to be around, you know. And it's just like, I wouldn't be surprised if you've had random haters or people who literally have never met you just being rude to you or, like, hating on you, and you just don't tolerate it. But I feel like it's just because you just feel yourself and your energy is just so potent, you know. And it's just like, you really don't tolerate the disrespect to you or anyone else. And I also feel like with the 7 of Wands here, it is the number 7. So I feel like you're the kind of person that's just, like, very advocated for change and progression. I feel like you may be a very progressive person, especially with, like, this whole humanitarian theme we brought up with the Star card. So I feel like you're the kind of person that, like, is always for change, or you're always, like, introducing new things to make things better, you know? I feel like maybe you rearrange your room often, or you're the kind of person that's, like, you always introduce new things. I feel like you're the friend that's like, hey, have you heard this song? Or hey, have you tried this from this place? Or hey, like, have you tried this with this? And they'll be like, no. And you'll be like, let me put you on, you know? I feel like you're the friend that's like, I wouldn't be surprised if people have, like, that have come and gone with your life, or even people that are still in your life, they, like, listen to a specific song you showed them, or, like, a specific meal combo you showed them, or, like, a secret menu thing that you showed them, or something like that, you know? And they just think of you because it's just like, it's the kind of person that's like, where has this been my entire life? It makes me think of, like, whenever I was first introduced to Nutella. It's just like that sense of, like, where has this been my entire life? And I wouldn't be surprised if people have felt that when they've met you. Where has this person been my entire life, you know? It's that kind of vibe. You're literally their Nutella. I remember I was in Maryland when I tried it, and I was like, girl, what is this? I've never seen this before in my entire life. And that was, like, before it was, like, really popular. Anyways, that's besides the point. I'm going to pull one more card before we kind of wrap things up here. We have 2 of Swords. Now, this card's interesting because I noticed that, like, she hit the bullseye, you know? And I feel like that kind of goes against what 2 of Swords is all about, which is, like, indecision and, like, being confused. I feel like with the 2 of Swords, it seems to kind of go a bunch of different ways, because I feel like maybe you create a lot of indecision, or you kind of make people think, or, like, you get people thinking to be more indifferent or a little bit more, like, careful to make decisions, because maybe you yourself are very indecisive, because, like, you are very, like, you may be very business oriented, or you may be someone who's very interested in optimizing a situation based on the choices you make. And I feel like you're very, like, you strive for improvement, and I feel like maybe because of that you're a very indecisive person, because you like to balance things out and see where things go. And with this particular imagery here, like, pardon me if I'm, like, going against, like, what the 2 of Swords mean, but, like, I feel like with this bullseye card here, I feel like when you make up your mind, you have made up your mind, you know? And I feel like that is just, like, an umbrella thing over this whole reading. Like, when you choose to cut off somebody, you have cut them off, and it will literally take so much to change your mind. When you have decided you don't like something, it will take, like, moving mountains to change your mind. I feel like maybe in that sense you're a little bit stubborn, but I feel like that stubbornness, like, goes a long way, and definitely, like, is another one of your trademarks probably, and one thing that is just, like, unforgettable about you, you know, like, irreplaceable. And it makes me think of Unforgettable by Sia. I was just listening to that song recently. It was from Finding Dory, you know, and very good song. I highly recommend. Guys, I've literally seen Finding Dory, but I haven't seen Finding Nemo. Please don't tell anyone. But I digress once again. But yeah, with the 2 of Swords here, I also feel like people have been left probably very confused when you leave their lives. I wouldn't be surprised. And I feel like with the Two of Swords, once again, like, remember how I was talking about like that whole like conviction thingy and how you're always like moving forward with conviction, you know, and you always know what you want to do, or like you have goals, or like you have a certain status you want to reach, or like there's a specific thing that you want to get, you know. I feel like this passionate side of you, or like this passionate energy about you, that's what the Two of Swords may be like referencing, you know. I feel like people are in the Two of Swords energy when you're not around, or when you're removed from someone's life, or when you remove yourself from someone's life. I feel like you just bring a lot of like sureness to someone's life and a lot of certainty. And I wouldn't be surprised if people have been very codependent of you because of that. But yeah, I think to sum up your reading, pile one, I feel like people just really feel like you bring a lot of purpose to their lives, and you bring so much like energy and like conviction, you know. And it's like there's never a dull moment with you. And I feel like people can never find somebody that like, even in bad times, it's like no matter what a bad mood people come to you, and it's just like you seemingly always cheer them up, or you make them feel better, just like with how much passion you have, and how much like fortune you bring to their lives, and how much like conviction you have, and how pure of a heart you have, and how like kind you are, and just how like amazing you are to be around. Like, you're just such a magnetic person, and like you just radiate like this like prideful, like in a good way energy, you know. And like you just have a love for humanity and a love for everybody, and you're very protective of that, and like you really stand by your beliefs. And I feel like you don't tolerate disrespect in any shape or form, and because of that, like you're just so irreplaceable. Like ain't nobody gonna find anybody else that's just as passionate and like driven like you know. It's just like I'm thinking of one of my friends as I'm doing this reading, and I just know, like, if you're watching this, girl, like, you know I'm talking about you. But yeah, that's all I have for you, pile one. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to go check out Moonful Readings and Capricorn Venus's video. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. I love you. Bye. Hello, pile two. If you chose the Moonvoid Tarot, this is going to be your reading for what makes you irreplaceable. If you didn't already know, you probably already know because I've been like kind of shoving it down your throat. This is actually a collab with Moonful Readings and Capricorn Venus Tarot. Their videos are linked in the description, so do check them out. You don't have to, but it's like, if you like me, you'll love them. Just saying. But anyways, so I have some oracle cards here. So let's just get right into it. So for your oracle cards, we have number 22, Wisdom. And the Sword, 77, interesting, number 77. And Unicorn. This one's number 7 too, wow. 7 correlates to Libra. Wow, that's really interesting. We have just 7s and 2s here. So that's something, you know, like 7, 7, 7, 22. I don't know, maybe you've been saying those numbers a lot. But anyways, that's besides the point. Pile 2, right off the bat. Oh, and you're pile 2. Wow. Lots of numbers. Perhaps you're very good with numbers, but anyways, pile 2. I feel like one thing that makes you really irreplaceable is your intellect. You may have Virgo in your chart, or you may be a Virgo rising because of that Gemini midheaven, or like maybe have a Gemini midheaven. But like, I just sense like this is also Leo here, so you may be a Leo. But anyways, those are for the extra confirmation if you need it. If you don't have those placements, don't like explode. But what I'm trying to say here is like, I feel like you're very smart, pile 2. One thing that like makes you set apart from the rest of the crowd, and what makes you so irreplaceable, is the fact that like you have your own ideas about everything. Like maybe in the past you were kind of knocked on for being like a know-it-all, or like seemingly like you were kind of pretentious with your knowledge because like you come off as just like smug, but in a way that's like you know everything. But I feel like if you've ever been like hogged on, or like people have like been like, girl, you do not know everything, like just know it's because they feel like you know everything. And it's just like, I really feel like people have had strong reactions to you because they just cannot stand how much you know, or like how you seemingly speak with so much conviction, or like, you know, you speak with so much purpose, you know. I feel like you're the kind of person that like maybe at times impulsively says things, or like you just always say things out of like I don't know how to say, like, you just always say things without thinking, you know? Like, you don't really care what other people think unless they directly communicate to you. Like, I feel like you just do not accept passive aggressiveness, and I feel like you just don't have a tolerance for it, you know? But with this fire energy here, I just feel like you're very passionate about your speech. I feel like you're very passionate about, you know, knowledge and intellect. And I feel like you take it very seriously. I feel like you just cannot stand bigoted people or people that are not smart. You know, like, I feel like you just don't tolerate people that are discriminatory, closed minded, or, you know, very conservative. I feel like you're a very progressive person at heart, but in a very unique way. I feel like the way you go about things is that you're very accepting. With the sword card here, I feel like you may even be very hard on yourself, but like overly hard on yourself. I was talking to pile one because I was like, you're probably really hard on yourself, but I feel like you're a whole nother level. And what I mean by that is I feel like the way you talk to yourself, pile two, I feel like if you talk to anyone else the way you sometimes talk to yourself, they would literally break down and go crazy. Like, they'd like go Britney Spears mode and start shaving their head. But what I'm trying to say by expressing that is I just feel like your standards come through and just like you may be very perfectionistic, and because of that, like, it translates to literally everything you do. And it's just like nobody else has received a helping hand quite like yours, you know? I feel like you're just so like giving, and I feel like you're just so considerate, and people really can't get away with things around you. I feel like that's something that really makes you irreplaceable. I feel like you're the kind of friend, or like even the kind of lover, or just the person that really holds people around you accountable regardless of how much they mean to you, you know? I feel like you're the kind of person that's like you could literally like love like someone to death, and you'll be like, girl, like, I don't know what you were saying back here, but it was kind of bothering me, and I just need you to not do that. And that's something that makes you irreplaceable, is because like you're just so good with your words and you're very eloquent. I feel like out of all my piles today, like, you're gonna be the one that's just like so intellectual and just very smart. And with the sword card here, it makes me think of like the sword suit, you know, just like in, you know, just tarot. And when I like by bringing that up, it's just like you really are head over heart, but because of that, like, you're just able to rationalize everything. I don't know how to explain it. Like, there's just this peace that comes of talking to you, pile two. I don't think that like anybody will feel as at peace with you as anybody else, because you seemingly are able to bring so much ration and so much like logic to any situation, no matter how like crazy it may seem. And it's just like, perhaps you may be kind of spiritual, because with this unicorn card, I do see like crystals and stuff in it. So I do feel as if though you are very interested in the occult and you're very interested in magic and, you know, manifestation. I do feel like you're very open-minded in that sense. You may have Sagittarius in your chart with like a combination of like very intellectual signs, like an air sign, or like Virgo, even like Capricorn, or like just like earth and air signs I'm sensing here. And then with like some fire or like air, I don't know. But, you know, that combination calls for somebody very smart and somebody who's very quick-witted. You probably have an amazing sense of humor, and I feel like you're able to make people laugh, or people have really laughed at what you say. Like, I feel like your sense of humor is literally like no other. I'm saying, pile two, ain't nobody else gonna find anyone that can make them laugh like you do, okay? It's just like people that come into your life, they will never experience the kind of humor that you have. Like, that is definitely something that is like trademark, like copyright AF on you. Like, no one can replicate that, because like because you're so smart, you just like have a great way of playing with words and satire and poking fun at things without actually being overly offensive, you know? I feel like you're the kind of person that can really poke fun at satire and like, you know, like social norms and things like that, and you're really able to pick apart situations and make fun of things, but like in a very like light-hearted way, you know? Like, I don't know, like, I just feel like you're very humorous in that sense, and I feel like you're very like sarcastic, maybe, in somebody who's just like maybe sometimes you can be a little bit passive aggressive just for the fun of it. I don't know, I feel like you really get a kick out of like teasing people or like picking like at people. I feel like you laugh really hard when people get angry around you. I don't know, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, you're just somebody who's just like, you play too much File Do is what I'm trying to say. Like, you're always on something. You're always messing around. Like, can't take you nowhere. But I feel like that's definitely something that, like, it's something that makes you really irreplaceable, because on one hand you're very smart and you know how to get down to business when it calls for it, and you can be really professional, and you can be really just like perfectionistic, and you can really get all the corners. Like, I feel like when a job is asked of you, you do it so thoroughly and you do it so like beautifully, you know. But on the other hand, it's like, if it's a lighthearted mood and we're just playing around, or we're just like joking around, like if you're just playing or something, you know, like people would be so surprised to see that like you're the kind of person that can go to like a fancy dinner, like pinky up, doing everything, and just like, you know, like it makes me think of like professional vibes, you know, like CEO conversation. But then this is the same person that can like laugh at like child jokes or something, that we're like laugh at a stupid TikTok and just like have a ball, you know. It's just like, you're just very dynamic in how you present yourself, and you're very like quick-witted, and you're very quick on your feet. Like, you're just somebody who is just like very good at navigating social situations. You're very socially aware, and maybe that has led to some insecurities in the past, but I feel like you're just very good at reading the room, and because of that, people like there someone could be, like, I feel like one thing that makes you really irreplaceable, pile two, is that like somebody will really be struggling with something and they will think that no one notices, but you notice and you bring it up, and they just like feel really seen by you, you know. Like, they feel like you get it, and they feel like you really do pay attention, which you do, but it's just like, you know what I mean, like you help people feel seen, and you help people feel like, you know, like they matter, you know. Because I feel like maybe in the past, like you dealt with feeling like tossed aside, you know, but then like you're able to bring that kind of like energy to people, and I feel like, you know, like, take this how you want, pile two, and pardon me if it comes off wrong, but I just feel like you're able to make people feel the way maybe you've wanted to feel, or like wanted to be treated, you know. I feel like you're very much the kind of person that's like, treat people how you want to be treated and treat people how you're being treated, you know. It's just like you're very good at reflecting energy back at people, and maybe because of that in the past people have like not liked you, you know. It's just like, I feel like you're the kind of person that's, when you're severely crossed, you just like become like evil, you know. And it's just like, I also feel like you're also very good at arguing. I don't know, that's like a random thought I have here. If y'all have ever tried arguing with an air sign, good luck. Oh my gosh, it is literally a nightmare, especially Libra and like Gemini. Aquarius is just like whatever, but like arguing with a Libra or Gemini is literally like, you just can't, like, you just don't say anything, otherwise they'll like twist your words around, then you'll like go cross-eyed and explode or something. But yeah, let's get into the tarot here. I don't know, like, I just feel like you're a one-of-a-kind person when it comes to your perspectives and like your take on things and your opinions. You're definitely a very opinionated person, and I wouldn't be surprised if people like, one thing that makes you irreplaceable is that opinion, you know. Like, ain't nobody else gonna meet somebody that can come up to you and be like, hey, what do you think of this? And you're like, it's good, but like you should change this and this and this, and they're like, but then they actually do it and they're like, wow, the pile two was right, you know. Like, you're just a very tasteful person, I'm sensing. Like, you're just always striving for improvement, and ain't nobody else can meet someone like you, you know? And it's just like, I also feel like you're very good at living in the moment, or like living day by day, and just like making sense of things, you know? It's just like, I feel like you are very good at coping, or you're very good at like coming to terms with situations that may not be the best, you know? I feel like a lot of people have felt very humble around your position because you yourself are probably very humble, because I feel like you've maybe gone through a lot. I feel like when I pull the unicorn card here, it makes me think of somebody who has really gone through a lot of things, because you're such a unique person and somebody, you know, who's very different and alternative. I feel like for a really long time now, like, society has demonized being different, you know, especially like when you're a teenager. But I feel like, you know, it's just like, because of that, like, people who have gone through, you know, being discriminated against, or people who have been hated on or judged or like poked fun at, it's just like they very much rise from it, accepting themselves and feeling more comfortable in their own skin, and like standing up for something so much bigger. And I feel like because of that, like, you have a very developed sense of humor, very developed point of view on like humanitarian things, you know, society as a whole, and just like any little thing, you know, not even just like these big things, you know. Like, you probably are very opinionated when it comes to food, very opinionated when it comes to YouTube videos, you know. Like, you just have very high standards, and ain't nobody else gonna meet someone else that has high standards like you know. And I feel like it sounds like a bad thing to high standards, but like simultaneously, no one's gonna ever meet someone like you that's like, don't stand for this girl. Like, you can do better, you know, and not like in a smug, smirky, like, whatever, like you can do a better way, but like, no, like you can do better, you know, like you know this, right? But yeah, I feel like it's very hard to explain it because I do feel as if though, like, it once again goes back to the fact that people have had strong opinions on you, and I feel like there's gonna be I feel like because of that, like, maybe this reading would be very, like, it sounds like there's no best way to describe it other than, like, you're just very critical person, and you just have very high standards, and it translates to, like, very positively, you know, it translates very positively to different aspects of your life in the sense that you're able to, like, improve things, you know, you're seemingly able to take, like, a situation and really elevate it and bring a lot of class and just, like, refine it, you know. You're the kind of person, like, it makes me think of that, like, this BuzzFeed video where, like, these people were, like, eating this Nutella sandwich, and it was, like, kind of like a s'more sandwich, you know, it's like toasted bread and marshmallows and Nutella. And I remember one of the guys was like, oh, this is like if you took s'mores to a fancy chef, and they're like, no, 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 I fixed it for you. And I feel like that's the kind of vibe you radiate, you know, like someone brings something to you and you're seemingly able to elevate it, but without like that negative critical attitude, you know, you're somehow able to criticize somebody, but without that critical, negative, mean attitude, you know. I don't know, like you're just able to refine a situation. What makes pile 2 irreplaceable? I don't know how to explain this message, you know? Like, I don't know how to make it come across as, like, nice. And I'm not saying that it comes off as mean or you come off as mean, but, like, I'm just trying to point out that, like, your high standards are a very good thing. And nobody else can meet, like, the quality of life that you strive for. Nobody else can, like, meet the quality you strive for, and how that quality translates to other people's lives. You seemingly motivate people to do better, you know, you motivate people to be better and elevate daily like just regular experiences, you know. What makes pile 2 so irreplaceable? Why are they so irreplaceable? All right, let's get into the tarot here. We have strength. Beautiful card here. I feel like with the strength card, first of all, like once again with that Leo energy, you could have Leo in your chart, especially like in your big 3. You could have like a Leo rising. Anyways, with the strength card here, I feel like you are also a very tough person. I feel like, well, obviously because it's the strength card, but what I'm trying to say here is I feel like you're just somebody who is very persistent and somebody who is just very good at like navigating situations. And I just feel like people always feel like they can rely on you, or you're just like a very reliable person in like specific situations. And what I mean by that is I feel like people, like, when they really need you, you really are there for them, you know? And I feel like you bring so much validation to people's lives. I feel like people feel really validated around you. And I feel like people just, like, they also see that, like, you may be your own savior, you know? Or you're somebody who is very, like, independent, or, like, somebody who can really carry their own. And I wouldn't be surprised if people, like, have felt, like, very codependent of you, or people have, like, relied on you, you know? Or, like, people have really come to you with the craziest things. I wouldn't be surprised if complete strangers have told you the wackiest things, you know? Like, you just meet someone and they're like, oh my gosh, like, this has happened to me, and I lost this person, and I also, like, I don't know, like, I wouldn't be surprised if people come up with the craziest news, like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know you, but I just had a pregnancy scare. Or like, oh my gosh, I literally have never met you in my entire life, but like, my girlfriend just broke up with me. Or like, oh my gosh, I've never met you in my entire life, but I just bought something that I really didn't need to buy, but I still bought it, and you know, I just had to tell someone I'm telling you. And because of that, you know, it's just like this goofy energy of like people coming up to you with like silly news. And I also feel like just strength in general, you know, like people probably really admire you and really like see you as irreplaceable. I feel like you are irreplaceable, seemingly because like you really carry yourself, you know, you carry yourself very well, and you're very like strong, you know, like, and I feel like, I don't know, I feel like the strength card is kind of like basic, and it's kind of like a foundational card as opposed to like a descriptor, in the sense that like I feel like this strength and like this determination carries to all aspects of your life. And what I mean by that is I feel like, you know, like it determines how, like, it kind of like lays the foundation for how you approach things. So I feel like you just are somebody who's very motivated, very determined, and you're probably able to really see things out to the end. And you're probably a very goal-oriented person, and people probably really love you, that about you, and probably like can't get enough of you because of that, you know? I feel like in that sense you're very irreplaceable, because people don't meet somebody as motivated or like as like cheerful as you are, you know? With the wisdom card here, you may also be somebody who is very big on school, or somebody who is in a very prestigious school or has gone to a very prestigious school. That's for some of you, not all of you. Not saying that like y'all haven't gone to a prestigious school, but like I just feel like a lot of you just take education and like knowledge very seriously. And I feel like you bring a lot of intellect to people's lives, you know? I feel like you're the kind of person that like someone comes up to you with like a random problem, you know? And like you always have like a solution. It makes me think of my like bestest friend in the whole world. Like I feel like every time I come to her, like she knows a little something. I remember I came to her about like rats, and she was like, oh, like just do this, this, and this. And I was like, girl, like how did you know this? You know? It's just like I feel like you're literally like, this might sound weird, but like you may be literally a walking file cabinet of knowledge, you know? Like you just, like your brain like is literally a file cabinet. Like you know everything. I don't know, like that's the best way I can say it. Yeah. We also have Temperance. I sense a lot of Sagittarius energy from you guys, honestly. Perhaps in like the Mercury and the big three. I feel like you have a very Mercury heavy chart, or like you have a very like intellectual Mercury sign. So you may have an exalted Mercury, or you may have like Sagittarius. I know like Mercury isn't that happy in Sagittarius, but you know what I mean? Just like that intellectual energy. And I feel like you're also very culturally educated. You may be somebody who is very into different cultures, or you're very fascinated or very educated on different cultures. And I feel like you're very much, you may be the kind of person that's really into folklore, or like, like tall tales, and like, like different myths and legends, and, like different cultural foods. Maybe you're very good at cooking different cultural foods, or maybe you're very good at, telling stories, or maybe you teach other cultures, or you may speak another language. Language may be very important to you. You may have like a very good vocabulary pile too. Once again, you're probably very eloquent, or somebody who's very good with their words, or seemingly is just able to put words to any situation or feeling just perfectly. Like, you just know, like, you're just like so knowledgeable, and you're just so very well spoken. And with this Temperance card here, I also feel like you're somebody who's very good at living the day by day, in the sense that like you're probably somebody who really takes things one at a time, or you're very good at kind of like ordering your day out, or you're very good at like kind of scheduling, or kind of getting things done in a timely manner. And I also feel like you're very good at keeping it together. I feel like you're a very composed person, and I think that like people definitely feel as if they'll never meet somebody that's able to calm them down quite like you. I feel like a lot of people have probably, if they've left your life, they have left significantly more anxious, and they're significantly more nervous, and like just clueless without you, Like I feel like a lot of people feel really lost when you're out of their lives, in the sense that like you bring a lot of logic, and you bring a lot of like insight and enlightenment to people's lives with the knowledge that you possess on so many different things, whether it be cultures, whether it be vocabulary, just like anything really, because I feel like you really are knowledgeable on everything to a degree, or at least knowledgeable enough in other areas to make really good guesses, or, appropriate hypotheses. If that's the right, no, I don't think hypothesis is the right word, because that's like a theory, an educated guess, if you will. But what I'm trying to say here is that like you seemingly always know something, or you seemingly always have the correct hunches, and because of that, I don't think people will ever meet somebody like you, or like you're just very like, you're very irreplaceable, in the sense that like you bring something else to the table when it comes to perspective and knowledge, because you're able to like bring a lot of, like, you're a very pragmatic person, and you're able to bring a lot of reasoning to something, It's just like you don't, like, you really do rely on hard facts, I feel, and because of that, like, you really run on hard facts, and because of that, it's just like people feel very validated around you, or people feel like they can really bring anything to you, and you'll really sort it out through your brain. And like, even at an emotional level, I feel like you're very good at putting emotions into words, or you're very good at kind of like describing things. I feel like maybe you don't feel like you're not very good at describing things. I don't think you understand that you are, but like from an outside perspective, like people see you as very irreplaceable because of the way you describe emotions is very unique to you and very bespoke to you, People have not met somebody just like you, obviously, but it's just like, with this wisdom card here, I feel like you are a very wise person. I feel like you're the kind of person that's just like, people have maybe called you an old soul or like a very wise soul, because like you, just the way you carry yourself is just very intelligent, you know? Just like you always know something and you always know what to say. And I feel like you're also a very philosophical person. You probably have very strong philosophies or are very educated on different philosophies, you know? I feel like you've maybe listened to a lot of lectures or read a lot of interesting books, or just like have stumbled across like very like interesting pieces of work when it comes to like, you know, like textbooks, you know, readings, and you know, like biographies and things like that. I just feel like you're a very like well-read person, whether or not you do read, in the sense that like I feel like you know a thing or two about practically anything out there. Your knowledge is probably like, from person to person watching this, I'd say that the knowledge that you possess, like based on like each individual, I feel like it's very different and very random. Like some of y'all probably know the weirdest things. Like, how do I say this? Like, I don't know, one of you will be like, hey, like, did you know that there's these 4 giant sinkholes in the middle of Venezuela? Or like, hey, did you know this about Sydney funnel web spiders? Or hey, did you know this about the ocean? Or like, hey, did you know this about your pinky? You know, it's just like, from person to person watching this pile, like, one thing that like can be assured is that like you're literally like, you have so many random facts just stored in your brain. And I feel like that's definitely one thing that makes you so irreplaceable, is that like people can come up to you with anything and you will know something about it. I feel like I just went completely off tangent there. What else do we have here? We also have the Magician. You're probably also a very strong manifester, or you're somebody who is very good at like manifesting things. Girl, I'm feeling a little goofy for that. You're probably a strong manifester, or somebody who's good at manifesting things. Like, girl, what? That's literally the same thing. But anyways, what I was trying to say there is that I feel like you have a very potent energy, or I feel like your word is like very strong. You know, like obviously because like you're probably a very eloquent or like well-spoken person, but I wouldn't be surprised if you've really jinxed things before, or seemingly after you like talked or spoken on something, like it's happened, you know? I feel like if you start like a game and you're like, oh my gosh, we're gonna lose, y'all literally lose. Or like if you're like, no, it's gonna happen, don't worry, and then it literally happens, you're like, ugh, I feel like it's gonna rain tomorrow, and it suddenly rains tomorrow, you know? I feel like you've jinxed things before. And also with the Magician card here, I feel like people are also feeling like you're irreplaceable, because seemingly I feel like you don't need people. I feel like you really do rely on yourself, or you're very independent, or you're very reliant on yourself. And because of that, I wouldn't be surprised if people have been very codependent of you, because like, you know, they leech off of you. I feel like you've cut those people off. And you know what I'm talking about, Pile 2. But I just feel like people feel like you are a very abundant person in terms of like knowledge and emotions and, you know, like resources, maybe even like at a physical level. I wouldn't be surprised if people have like borrowed money from you and never given it back, because it's just like, you're just somebody who is just so giving. I feel like maybe in the past you've like struggled with people pleasing. I don't feel as if though you struggle with it anymore because of this Magician card. It leads me to believe that you're very like focused on yourself, and you're very good at taking care of yourself and saving yourself and getting yourself out of predicaments. And I feel like people just like, that's one thing that makes you very like irreplaceable, is that like you're not a high maintenance person, you know? People don't feel like they have to constantly talk to you or constantly be around you in order to like feel like they're still your friend or still your whatever, you know? It's just like you're the kind of person that's just like always worried about themselves, and because of that, it's just like you're a very independent person, and people really can't find that anywhere else, you know? I feel like it's very hard for people to come by someone like you, in the sense that like you always know like what you want to do, or like you seemingly know you like your next step, or you seemingly have like a specific method of doing everything. I'm gonna pull one more card before I kind of wrap things up here. 4 of Pentacles. You're definitely a very protective person. I definitely do feel as if though like with this 4 of Pentacles, like you're probably somebody who is very defensive over your things and people you care about. I feel like you've stood up for people. I feel like that's definitely one thing that makes you irreplaceable, is like you're the kind of person that like if someone's hating on you or somebody else, like you do not bite your tongue. You're not somebody that sits there and takes it, you know? You'll literally just like get up from your seat and be like, okay, and I don't know, I was just watching this show called Case Closed, and there was this woman, and she literally always had something to say when people were coming for her, though. She'd be like, she'd start giggling, she'd be like, that's interesting because didn't you say earlier, or like, wouldn't you wouldn't you be the one to talk, you know? I feel like you have a very aggressive way of like speaking to people when they come at you sideways, you know? You simply just do not tolerate disrespect. And also, I just noticed that like we have a bunch of, ooh, my elbow just cracked. We also have a bunch of major arcana here. We have 3 out of the 4 cards being major arcana. So I definitely do think like you are a big deal. Not to say that the other piles aren't, but it's just like, you know, like that is definitely something that is like you're a very karma oriented person, I'd say. I feel like people learn big lessons when you come into their life, whether or not it's from you or your absence. But I just feel like you're a very karmic person by nature, and you're somebody who's just like, if people treat you bad, they get what they deserve in the end, you know? I feel like you're just like, a lot of your life has probably revolved around karma, and that definitely plays into why you're so irreplaceable, because I feel like you are like, I sense a lot of Saturn energy here. So you may be an Aquarius or like a Capricorn. But with this 4 of Pentacles here, I just feel like you're a very protective and reserved person. You're probably pretty shy, or you're somebody that's pretty hard to crack. And I feel like that definitely plays into the whole irreplaceable theme, in the sense that like people who get to know you probably like, it probably takes a lot of work to get to know you. And not like in a bad way, but like in the sense that like, you know, you don't open up just like that. So like getting to know you is really like a huge feat, or like it really is an accomplishment or a huge like achievement, because like you don't open up to just anybody. Pile 2. I think I'm gonna wrap up your reading by saying that you're just like a very intellectual and smart person who is very quick-witted, quick on their feet, and very dynamic in the way they present themselves and the way that they like, not like fit in, but you know, like just like speak to people. Because on one hand you can be very serious and very like get down to business. On the other hand, you can literally joke about like this most stupidest things ever, and it's just like you're very dynamic, and you seem to be like a Swiss Army knife in social situations, and you can really play the role or like take on any role that you need to. And I feel like you're a very strong and independent person, and somebody who's very reserved and understands that everyone needs you way more than you need them. And as a result, like you're just so irreplaceable, and like people, like I feel like people definitely can sense that like you don't need them, but like it very much is an honor to be around you, Pile 2. Like you radiate a lot of regal energy, especially when it comes to your intellect and your knowledge. So yeah, and you're just like a one of a kind person. Like you're just somebody who can really put the craziest things into words, you know, or like you can really put words to anything. But yeah, I hope this reading made sense. I feel like I was all over the place with this reading. I'm sure it did, but you know, if you watched this far, I'm sure it did. But thank you so much for watching, Pile 2. That's all I have for you. If you like, make sure to go check out Moonful Readings and Capricorn Venus's videos. Like, comment, and subscribe. But other than that, I love you so much. Bye. Hello, Pile 3. If you chose the lovely Omens Tarot, this is going to be your reading for Why Are You Irreplaceable? And probably already know this, but this is a collab with Moonful Readings and Capricorn Venus Tarot. I have their videos linked down in the description. You should definitely go check them out. You don't have to, but if you like me, then you'll definitely love them. So yeah, we have some oracle cards here, so let's just get right into it. For your oracle cards, we have number 14 with divination, number 32 with the hold, and number 8 with star. Now Pile 3. I was so excited to do your pile, because with the combination of cards, with the hold card and divination card, because this card has Scorpio on it. This card is ruled by Scorpio, I guess. But what I'm trying to say is we have scorpionic energy here. And I'm not gonna lie, I feel like people have gotten obsessed with you before. I feel like there's something very magnetic about you, and that magnetism doesn't cool down as people get to know you. In fact, it gets stronger. And I think I feel like from person to person, I'm gonna say like what makes you irreplaceable is gonna be pretty ambiguous, and I feel like it's gonna be pretty honed in on your energy itself, as opposed to like specific or like physical or like personality traits about you. Obviously those will like pop up in the reading, but I feel like with this divination card here and star card, it seems as if though like you're a very routine oriented person, or you're somebody who seemingly goes through their life in this cycle where I feel like you're capable of immense effort and passion, but then you kind of get burnt out and you kind of like retreat. So you may have like a lot of water in your chart, so Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, but and also we have Aquarius here because star card makes me think of Aquarius, so you could be that too. But you know, my point is, I feel like there's just this like, you have probably a huge following, or you have a large number of people that you probably don't even know are obsessed with you. I really don't know how to explain it. Like when I saw the hold card, I feel like those that have had the misfortune of losing you or you cutting them off, it takes them a while to get over it. I'm not gonna lie, pile 3 people, it takes them quite a while to get over you, because the sting of your absence is like no other, I must say. And I feel like you know this. I feel like with this divination card here, I feel like you may be a very spiritual person. I feel like everyone here is very spiritual, you know, if you're watching tarot. But I feel like out of the bunch today, like you're definitely going to be my pile that's very much into the occult. You may be very into like, you may read tarot yourself, or you may be very into astrology. You could even be very religious, or you could be into like, you know, just like the occult, you know. You could literally just be a witch. But I feel like you're just somebody who is very energetically potent, you know. I feel like with this divination card, it's like with chives, I just feel like when I think of chives, I think of like the fact that like it makes everything look so pretty, you know. Like when you cook something, like if you want it to look pretty, just like throw some chives on it, you know. Like if you have scrambled eggs and you want to look pretty, just throw some chopped chives on it. Like if you want pasta to look pretty, just throw some chopped chives on it, you know. Like, you know, like I just wouldn't be surprised. Like I just feel like you're a very aesthetically pleasing person too, in that sense. I feel like your sense of fashion is definitely probably very unique, and you're probably also very beautiful. I feel like I'm sensing like sharp features, or somebody with like very like, you know, like sharp jawline, sharp eyes, sharp nose, or like very like plump lips. Just somebody who has a very like, you know, like cat eyes, you know, like I'm thinking that, you know, like very feline features, somebody who's very sharp, and somebody who is very fiercely beautiful. You don't even like, it doesn't matter what gender you are or what you identify as. It's just safe to say that you're somebody who is just very visually mysterious and appealing. And with this hold card here, I also feel like what makes you very irreplaceable is your relationship with your emotions. I feel like maybe you're a very fixed person. You may have a lot fixed in your chart. I mean, I did mention Aquarius and Scorpio, so that's not to say that you could have Leo and Taurus in your chart, especially within your moon sign and your Venus. But I feel like you're somebody who maybe has a tough time letting things go, and because of that, I feel like you're the kind of person, it seems as if though like maybe you hold on to situations longer than you should, but once you let go of something, it's literally like gone. Like once you let go of something, like you have already designated that spot for something else. And I feel like that definitely like takes a toll on people that like, because like people who mess up in front, like mess up around you, they don't get another chance. Pile 3, they, you know what I'm talking about, and they're just like, please pile 3, give me another chance. And you're like, girl, no, like bye, like my Uber's here, I GTG. But with star card here too, the star card, I feel like you're a very like inspirational person too. I feel like that sounds so like weird, but I just feel like you're a very inspiring person and a very inspired person. I feel like you're very original, and I feel like maybe you like growing up, maybe you're kind of called like a weirdo, or somebody who's kind of like strange, not like in a weird alienating way, but more of in like a, you're very different kind of way, you know? Like people probably stop and stare at you a lot. I'm not gonna lie, pile 3. And I definitely think that people who get to know you with this divination card, you seemingly bring a lot of structure or like purpose to people's lives. I don't know how to explain it. What I'm trying to say here is like, I feel like people who get to get like a slice of like your spiritual nature or like your emotional nature, they're very liberated. You know, they seemingly feel free around you because like they feel like they can really be themselves around you, and they feel very inspired around you, you know. You just bring a lot of like stability and a lot of like, how do I say, like rooting, like root to people's lives. You know, like you really help people get onto solid ground. And I don't know, I feel like with this divination card, I almost feel as if though you've been able to present like outcomes to people or like predict things with people's lives. I don't know how to explain it. Like I just feel like the things you bring to the table definitely have to do with your energy, because it just seems as if though your energy is very potent and very passionate, and maybe even sometimes a little bit dark, or like very like emotionally, like I'm thinking like, you know, when you come out of the deep end from the pool and like it was like a lot of work swimming there, and like you just like get out of the water, it's like you know, or like when you wake up at like 3 a.m. and you're just like dying of thirst and you like have a bottle of water and you like chug it. I feel like that's the kind of energy you are, you know, pile 3. Like you're just like, I don't know, like it comes back to this like obsessive energy. Like people, like I really wish I could tell you what it is about you that is just so like irreplaceable and irresistible, but like it's just your energy, you know, and the way you present yourself and the way you're able to like get through to people and empathize with them. I feel like people have really gotten addicted to how you make them feel. I feel like you're able to make people feel so good, or like feel so like seen. Maybe for some of you at like a very physical level, because Scorpio energy is very heavy here, but that's for some of you, not all of you. And I also feel like you're very indulgent in physical pleasures, you know, like not even that stuff, but like, you know, like good food, like good sleep, good TV shows, just things like that. You know, you really know, like you have very fine taste and you have a very refined taste, you know, like you seemingly know all the good things, and you seemingly know like what is so nice in this life, you know, like what is of top tier quality. And it definitely seems as if though like you have a hold on people is what I'm trying to say here. And I also feel like once again with that whole like fixed energy I was talking about, maybe you have a hard time letting things go. I feel like you also, because of that, are very accepting of people, or you're very patient with people because you very much understand that it takes patience to deal with you sometimes. And I feel like people are very addicted to that patience too, especially other fixed signs. I feel like maybe you attract a lot of fixed signs. Like, I don't know. But I don't know, this pile just feels very mysterious and very like alluring, you know? There's just something about you that's just so like, how do I say, like, it makes me think of like, you know, like in like folklore or like tall tales or whatever it's called, like legend, like with the will o' the wisps, you know how like they like people like follow the little flame and they like keep following them, and they're just so like entranced and like so curious, and they keep following them, and then they like get led to their doom. It's like, not to say that like people get led to their doom with you, but it's like people, like that's definitely something that makes you very irreplaceable, in the sense that like people just like see you and they're very drawn to you, and they're very like drawn into you, and it's like as they get to know you, the obsession gets even stronger. And like I wouldn't be surprised if you've had people that literally like suffocate you because they just want to / kind of need to be around you, because like you just make people feel so nice, you make people feel so good, and you make people feel so like energized, and like people just feel very inspired around you, you know? Like, you seemingly bring just, like, a lot of light and, like, passion and, like, energy to people's lives. You probably attract a lot of detached people, or people that are not as emotional. That's for some of you, not all of you, but I just feel like you've attracted people that are very detached, and people, or, like, people that are just, like, not as in tune with their emotions, and maybe people get very addicted to seeing you feel their emotions out for them, or seeing you be emotional because they're very fascinated by that. I feel like people have seen you be emotional, they're like, oh, I've never seen that before, you know? Or like people really admire the way you process your emotions. Okay, let's get into the tarot here actually. I was very like drawn to this pile. When I was shuffling the oracle cards, I was like, pile 3. There's something about them. I mean, not to create bias, you know, but it's like I was very excited. But yeah. I feel like with also the energy of this particular deck, I feel like you may also be very sharp-tongued person. I feel like the way you speak can be very venomous. And what I mean by that is I feel like, oh gosh, the card just like flew out. And it like fell on the floor. it's Nine of Swords. I'll take that. But I just feel like there's something about you that is just like so like alluring and so like I feel like people really love trying to meet your standards, like beat your standards or like amount up to what you expect. And I also feel like definitely something that makes you very irreplaceable is you're probably very like protective and very passionate and obsessive, like in like a very good way, you know. Like I feel like you're very good at tending to people, or like you're very good at like checking on people. You're probably very psychic, or you're probably very like you have a very sharp intuition. I feel like people have maybe been like, how did you know I was feeling this way? Or you're seemingly able to like guess what people are feeling or know when something's up. So what makes pile 3 irreplaceable? Why are they irreplaceable? You've probably had just people really obsessed with you. I'm not gonna lie, pile 3. And I feel like it varies from person to person, and I feel like the reaction also differs from person to person, because for some of you, it may have been like people are either very mean to you, and people have probably been really nasty to you, like really evil to you, but that's because they're literally obsessed with you. Or like people that are like overly kind to you. I don't know. I feel like you are very susceptible to psychic attacks because people like react so strongly to your energy and your presence, especially with the Nine of Swords here. That card literally flew out while I was riffle shuffling. That's rarely happens to me, but I feel like the Nine of Swords, you make people feel some sort of way. Like you evoke some strong anxiety in people and like some strong feels in people. Like you make people nervous, you know, like people like, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of like the vibe that I'm picking up. Like people just like you're just so like, you're kind of like sitting, I feel like you're sitting there like you're like rolling your eyes. You're like, what is this person like? I don't know. But like what I'm trying to convey here is that like I feel like it's hard for you to believe unless you've like maybe heard how people, like maybe you've had someone tell you how they feel, or maybe you've seen how people react to you. But like I feel like you truly don't understand the impact or like the effect you have on people. It's like mesmerizing. It's like as if like you put it like a spell on people, or like they're like hypnotized. I wouldn't be surprised if you have manifested people, or you've used manifestation techniques to call in people, and that definitely probably plays into like how obsessed they get with you or how like needy they are for you. And I feel like with the Nine of Swords, I feel like people can't fathom their life without you. I feel like some people literally can't imagine their lives without you. Like they're like, I don't know what I do without pile 3, and thinking about a life without them makes me like feel like I need to go to like a psych ward or something. Like it is really to that degree. Like people feel like they need you, pile 3. I definitely feel like this is going to be the shortest out of my piles today, because it really does seem as if though like it's just kind of like there's no like wordy way of like explaining this, or there doesn't seem to be a need for too much explanation. I feel like the bottom line is that people really are obsessed with you because like you're just so like in tune with yourself, and you're like your vibration's just so high. Like I don't know how to describe it. It's just like with this divination card, it makes me think of somebody who is very in tune with their emotions, somebody who is very in tune with their authentic self, and somebody who very much understands themselves and understands that people need them way more than they like you need them. You know what I mean? Like people need you more than you need them. And I kind of said this to pile 2, but I feel like for you it's kind of different. It's more of an emotional thing, because I feel like people have very much emotionally crushed on you. I wouldn't be surprised if people come to you often to vent, or if a lot of people like emotionally dump on you, or come to you very often with emotional predicaments. And I also feel like with the Nine of Swords, you may be like a pacifier. I don't know how to describe it. Like I feel like you're somebody who's very soothing to be around, you know? Like I feel like you are able to relieve people with the Nine of Swords, you know? I feel like people, you know, if someone like is very stressed out or very nervous, like seemingly you seem to calm them down, or you bring a lot of tranquility to them, or like you're able to like bring a lot of peace to them, you know? I feel like people get very addicted to that. Like I feel like people have treated you like a vice before, and definitely has played into you cutting people off. But it really does seem as if though like with this hold card here, I also feel like you're very good at like nurturing people at an emotional level. I feel like people like you may have a lot of 12th house placements, or you may be somebody who has like, you may have a lot of 4th house, 8th house, or 12th house in your chart, or you may have very potent placements in those houses. But just something about those and something about the water signs here that just plays into like this obsessive, very like addicting energy that's very like dark, twisted, and very honest. And I feel like one thing that makes you irreplaceable is also you're probably very like I've been saying, like very mysterious, and I feel like people just like love getting to know you. I wouldn't be surprised if people are always asking you questions or wanting to get to know you more, or very like obsessed of reading what you have to say, or like reading up on you, or like reading you in general, or like, you know, when you say, like, you could literally post like a 50-minute long video on like YouTube, and people like read, like listen to the whole thing and be paying attention the whole time. Or you like write a book and people would read it, you know. People are just very like intrigued by what you have to say and your thought process, and it's definitely something that makes you very irreplaceable, because the way you like articulate yourself, and the way you think, and the way you kind of like navigate like your life and like this world is just very bespoke to you. And because of that, people are very interested by what you have to say and what you think, because it's so different from what, you know, like what they may be used to. Because I feel like logic is big now, and I feel like people appreciate like being logical and pragmatic over being emotional, at least like in my experience. And because of that, I feel like you're like kind of like a needle in the haystack, in the sense that when they meet you, they're like, oh my gosh, like I've never seen somebody who navigates this world in an emotional or like a more intuitive way, you know. And because of that, people get very obsessed with the way like you make them feel, and the way you're able to kind of like navigate emotions. And I feel like, I'm not gonna lie, pile 3, I feel like you'd be a very good gaslighter. I'm not saying that's good, and I'm not saying that's a trait to be proud of, like, and I'm not saying like you exhibit that trait, but I'm just saying I feel like if you really wanted to twist reality or get someone to do something you want them to do, you would be able to. I feel like, no pun intended, you may hold all the cards. And I feel like you're a very powerful person. You may have like a Scorpio midheaven, or like prominent Scorpio in your chart, but regardless of the case here, I just feel like you're very like, people are very obsessed with you, and people probably like, I wouldn't be surprised if you've had people pine over you, or people who desperately try to get back into your life, or people who keep coming back for more with you, or people that just like keep you at arm's length but like never want to leave your life. I don't know, like I just feel like you have a very particular relationship with people based on how much they know about you, or based on how much you get to know them. But I definitely do think that like you're like, the way you process emotions and the way you kind of go about life is just like, you seem very powerful, and you seem very knowledgeable, and you seem very wise, and people are very like obsessed with that. And it definitely makes you very irreplaceable, because you're one of a kind when it comes to like advice and like, you know, caring for people. We also have 10 of Pentacles. It seems as if though like you create your own wholeness, or you're able to kind of like cultivate your own 10 of Pentacles, you know what I mean? I feel like you're a very like powerful person. I'm not gonna lie. 10 of Pentacles deals with like financial wholeness, you know, families, you know, like reaching the end of the Pentacles journey. So you've cultivated all this goodness and abundance, you know. So I definitely feel as if though like it's definitely something that makes you very irreplaceable. I feel like you bring a lot of wholeness to people's lives, or you bring a lot of stability to people's lives. And for some people, I feel like they don't even notice it until you're gone. And it definitely like plays into the whole like, oh shoot, pile 3's gone and I didn't realize how much I relied on them. You know, I feel like people have maybe even become very reliant or very needy or codependent of you. And with this 10 of Pentacles and 9 of Swords, you know what I mean? Like 9 of Swords and 10 of Pentacles, those are such like different cards. You'd be like, it kind of plays into like, without you, they don't have the 10 of Pentacles, and because of that, they're in the 9 of Swords vibe, you know, or they get in the 9 of Swords energy at the thought of not having you, because you are the 10 of Pentacles to them, you know. I feel like you are wholeness, and I feel like you are completion and hard work to people, you know, and I feel like people feel very validated around you. And with this Star card here, I also feel like you're very like, accepting person, or you're somebody who doesn't really judge at all. And I feel like this, like, you probably have like a very interesting dynamic, because like I don't think you realize that you come off as very powerful, or somebody who is very like potent, or somebody who is very like knowledgeable or like sagacious. I feel like people, like, you may not know this, but like people definitely perceive you as that way, and it comes into the, like, it plays into the fact that you are very irreplaceable, because like somebody that comes off this powerful or this knowledgeable, and just like, it's just like you come off as very magnanimous, you know, somebody who is very like forgiving, or somebody who is just like, you're very like giving towards people who may be below you, or people who aren't as like knowledgeable or as like intelligent or well informed as you. Like, you're just very accepting, despite the fact that you might come off as very discriminatory or very like, you know, like powerful. And I definitely think that it plays into this whole irreplaceable theme, because it's just like, no one will meet somebody that is like as like high up as you, or somebody who is as like experienced or as like intelligent as you, but simultaneously like being so accepting and being so like forgiving and, you know, like flexible, you know. It's just like this sense of like somebody who doesn't have to be so easy on those around them, or somebody who seemingly has it all and seemingly has like such a good life, and somebody who is self-sufficient and has cultivated the 10 of Pentacles, and yet is willing to be so like accepting and so like, you know, like open-minded towards those who have followed a completely different path than them, you know. And it's just like, I feel like it plays into that whole irreplaceable thing, because I feel like you yourself, Pile 3, you don't really see yourself as somebody who is just like overly discriminatory, or like somebody who is overly intimidating or scary or like mysterious. But like, you don't realize it, but you definitely do come off that way, in the sense that like, I feel like people aren't able to guess what your next move is, or guess how you're feeling, or guess what you're thinking. And because of that, it's just like this sense of like, people are very intimidated by you, but they're very surprised to learn that you're very like forgiving, or like very like accepting, you know. Like, you're just very open-minded, and it's just like this reasoning, like people probably like take shelter under your wings, you know. You probably take people under your wing a lot, or like you're very like, your opinion is like validation for them, you know. They're like, well, I'm doing this and I don't really know about it. And like, maybe someone comes at, like, for example, someone like really likes eating pineapples, and you know, like, you are like, oh yeah, I totally like agree with that, you know, it's just pineapples, you know. So people go around and be like, someone will be like, why do you eat pineapples? Pineapples are so gross. You'd be like, well, Pile 3 said it's fine, so you need to mind your own business, you know. It's that kind of vibe, you know. Like, I feel like sometimes people take your word as like literal facts, or like actual like evidence, you know, because like, you're just so like, you speak with so much conviction, and you seem so sure of yourself, and you seem so like well educated and well articulated when it comes to speech. You're very eloquent, you know, and you're very like purposeful, you know. Like, you're not very mindless, you're not careless, and you're very just like, you're very particular and very like, you know, like discernful when it comes to your words and your reasoning, you know, and your logic, you know. You're the first person that really questions themselves, because you probably rely on hard facts all the time, and because of that, people really do take your word as hard facts. And it definitely plays into why you're so irreplaceable. And I feel like you've had people that are obsessed with you needing them, or making them want you to need them. That's a very specific message, but it definitely is something that came through. We also have 4 of Pentacles. Yeah, once again, with this whole stability thing, I feel like people maybe have tried to hog you, or like maybe have tried to like gain all of your attention, or like, you know, like you may not realize it. I'm not gonna lie, Pile 3, I feel like a lot of the things that I'm saying in this reading will come off as very far-fetched, unless you like have had external opinions presented to you regarding this topic. But I feel like as a whole, I feel like none of you may realize the depth in which how people obsess over you, and how people like, you know, gravitate towards you. I feel like you don't really know the extent of it, because definitely people have thought about you. And I feel like with this 4 of Pentacles, people that are very close to you, or like people that are like within your family, they feel very exalted in your presence, you know. They feel very like comfortable around you, you know. With this 4 of Pentacles, you know, it makes me think of like you know, Four of Pentacles makes me think of like stability, you know, because it is the number 4, and you know, Pentacles is like money. So I feel like maybe like people feel very financially stable around you. I wouldn't be surprised if people have like taken money from you or asked you for money, or if like you've lent a lot of money, or like, you know, like given a lot of people a lot of money. But aside from that, I also feel like people are very like possessive over you. Or you may be possessive over people, but I definitely do think that people are very possessive over you, and people don't like sharing you or like giving you, or like, I feel like people who are very close to you don't like when you talk to other people and stuff like that, especially romantic interests, or like, you know, when it comes to like romantic relationships, and maybe even parents. I feel like maybe parents are very protective over you, overprotective over you, and just kind of like not willing to like share you. But it definitely seems as if though like people understand that you're irreplaceable. I definitely do think that people understand that you're one of a kind, and it definitely plays into like people either A, prey on your downfall, or B, like literally just need you in their life. You know, it's like very extreme. You know, you've had very extreme reactions to you, and you probably know this because people have probably talked about you behind your back a lot, or like gossiped about you a lot, because like they're very jealous of you, and they're very like much your biggest fan, you know. And I think you know that, but I feel like people are too afraid to approach you. I feel like once again it comes into that intimidating energy. Once again, it kind of embodies the energy of this particular deck. I feel like this deck is just so like cutthroat, and that may be the kind of person you are, pile 3. But I don't feel as if though like you're not even a cutthroat person. You're just like a very like opinionated and somebody who is very confident, and because of that, people are just like very nervous around you, you know. And you probably like intimidate or really scare people. Yeah. We also have 8 of Pentacles. You're definitely a very hard worker, pile 3. Like, I feel like maybe sometimes you even overwork yourself a lot, or like you literally work yourself into oblivion. And I feel like people also see that employers probably see you as very irreplaceable because of that. I wouldn't be surprised if you like quit a job. Like, managers have had trouble finding someone that fills the position like you, or does it just like you. I feel like people that have filled your position take twice as more training, or they're like manager like, oh my god, it's like we've had a new person, it's just been so difficult like training them, and like I wish you were still here, you know. I feel like you're very irreplaceable in the workplace, and not to say that you're irreplaceable in like, you know, like within friend groups or like relationships, but I just feel like workplace is definitely highlighted in this reading, and I just feel like you're somebody who gives it their all, and somebody who really thinks of everything through, somebody who thinks things through. You may have prominent Cancer, or like you may have like a Cancer or like a Capricorn rising because of like that, like because that means your 7th house would be Capricorn or Cancer. And I feel like because of that, like you're just somebody who like you just radiate a lot of cardinal energy. So Aries, Capricorn, Cancer, and Libra, you may be someone who moves forward with a lot of conviction and a lot of direction, and because of that, people just like see that like you're very motivated, and you know, and like you have your eye on the prize, and people definitely see that like especially employers see that you're a very motivated person, you're a very trustworthy person. When people ask you to do something, they can really count on you to get it through. But yeah, this reading ended up being longer than I thought. I thought it was gonna be pretty short, but ended up more things coming through. But I think to sum up this reading, pile 3, I'm just going to say that like you're a very hard worker, and you're somebody who comes off as very powerful and very sure of themselves, whether you see it or not. And because of that, people just like are very gravitated towards you, and they're very drawn to you, and they get very obsessed with you, and getting to know you doesn't alleviate this obsession. In fact, it probably makes it worse. And some people literally can't fathom their life without you, because like you bring like your energy is just so potent, and you're just so like confident, and you just like bring so much to the table, and people just love being around you. People love hanging around you, and you're just so like, I feel like maybe you're even kind of like a lone wolf, and you're very like exclusive. I feel like you probably have like a very small friend group, or very like few people know you to the full extent. And because of that, people are very obsessed of getting to know you and what's behind, like what goes on behind closed doors in your life. And it's just like people never have met somebody as independent and somebody who's as self-sufficient and like headstrong as you. So yeah, that's all I have for you, pile 3. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed my reading, be sure to go check out Capricorn Venus and Moonful Readings videos. I'm sure they can provide a lot of context too. But other than that, I love you so much. Be sure comment, and subscribe. I love you. Bye. Hello, pile 4. If you chose this golden thread tarot, this is going to be your reading for what makes you irreplaceable. And if you didn't already know, I'm sure you already know, but this is actually a collab with Capricorn Venus and Moonful Readings. I highly suggest you go check their videos out in the description box, because if you like me, you'll love them. Anyways, so before we get into the tarot, I have some oracle cards here, and let's get right into it, because I've been thinking about your oracles for a while too. So for your oracle cards, we have number 8 with productivity, the pumpkin. Well, it can pumpkin, but just pumpkin to me. At least just to me. Anyways, and then number 29 with stay back. And number 24 with the soil. So right off the bat with the soil card and productivity card, pile 4, I feel like one thing that makes you irreplaceable is your ability to be very grounded and very logical, and also just like very like, I feel like you have a lot of wisdom, and I feel like you're very good about like prioritization. I feel like you're a very goal-oriented person, especially since we have Cancer here in this card. I feel like with that cardinal energy, whether or not you are a Cancer, you could also have Taurus in your chart, but I feel like you're just like a very like, you're somebody who kind of goes with the flow, I'm sensing, because I see like a moon here, and also Cancer is ruled by the moon. And whenever I think of the moon, I think of how like the moon just feels as it goes, you know, like, you know, Cancers, I feel like all water signs just like feel their feelings as they go around, you know, like they just feel how they feel, and they go about their lives, and they are productive according to how they're feeling, and they do as much as they can in the moment. And I also just feel like you have like, I feel like you embody that energy, and I just think that you're a very grounded person. But with the stay back card, I think that you're a very big person when it comes to boundaries. I think that you're somebody who maybe always wants like is very big on me time at times. I feel like you're somebody who likes to like be reclusive for times, or like there are moments where being by yourself, or like, you know, being quiet, or like, you know, retreating is very good for you and probably very healing for you. I feel like you're a very self-sufficient person in that sense, and I feel like people find you very irreplaceable because of that. Because like, I feel like with the stay back card, obviously like when setting boundaries, like it teaches people a lesson, and because of that, I feel like people learn a lot with you, and I feel like people like see that like you're just like somebody who is very sure of themselves, or is somebody who carries themselves very well, because you've probably learned over the course of years like how to set boundaries, and how to ground yourself, and how to retreat within yourself, and how to kind of just like reach, you know, because in the soil card it talks about how like, you know, like this soil card, like they're buried, you know, but that doesn't mean to say that they aren't going to grow out of the ground and, you know, like reach for the stars. It makes me think that like a stable foundation is how it all begins, you know, like a plant is going to have a hard time reaching higher and higher, growing bigger and bigger without like, you know, like a very good root system. You know, like trees are huge freaking plants, and, you know, they have a huge root system, you know. Any plant that's huge usually has a big root system, and it's like, you know, like I feel like that's the kind of person you are, pile 4. I feel like you're the kind of person that roots down really far, and that's whenever, you know, once you feel comfortable with like a good system, like that's like a good foundation, that's when you're like, all right, now I can start growing in other ways, you know. It's like, I feel like you're the kind of person that likes to start off with steady foundation, and because of that, you're very like, because like you are such a foundation oriented person, or somebody who is very big on being grounded, like you are somebody who is very like grounding, and somebody who is very like, you bring people down to earth, pile 4. Like you're able to bring this like ability, like you have this ability to have people like see things for what they are, and to really like look at things from a different perspective, and to really have a take on things that they originally would not have adopted had they not have talked to you about it, you know. Especially with the stay back card here, it's like, I feel like the way you kind of navigate this world, and how you like cope, and how you deal with things that come towards you, and how you feel things through, it's very like unique to you, and like you've like very much had a very, how would I say, like, you've had like a very specific and unique journey on how you navigate everything, and as a result, like, you're just somebody who really like takes things like at their own pace, and because of that, like, people feel very comfortable around you, pile 4. People feel like no matter how, like, people feel like just existing around you is productive, which it is, you know, just breathing is productive, like, you're staying alive, child. But like, you know what I'm saying, pile 4, like, I just feel like you bring that comfort to people. And also, I was gonna say, like, the reason I was very excited to do this pile is because we have this pumpkin. And girl, what do you think of pumpkins? When you think of pumpkins, you think of the fall, you know, you think of all the good holidays that come with the fall beginning and, you know, transitioning to winter. I feel like, you know, fall, it's a very transitional month, you know. It's a transition into winter. It's when things start taking a step back. It's when the world starts, you know, going to bed, you know. It's when nature starts preparing for hibernation, you know. And it's also like a very cozy time, you know. It's like a very aesthetically pleasing time. And I feel like you really have an eye for things, pile 4. I feel like you're somebody who is very beauty oriented, very comfort oriented. You probably know like the best foods. You probably know all the good spots. You probably have like a way with words and a way with just like a way with like transitioning, you know. I feel like people feel very like you're able to take, like, you're very like one foot in front of the other kind of person, you know, like this cardinal energy. I also feel called to mention this number 8 here. You could be like, you could have a Scorpio placements, or you could have 8th house placements, or you could have like a very interesting 8th house. But regardless of the case here, I just feel like you have like this very intensely motivated and passionate energy when it comes to productivity. I feel like maybe sometimes you're a bit of a workaholic, or somebody who like works themselves to the bone, like nose to the grindstone. But I just feel like it's all for a good cause, and it's all for grounding yourself, because I feel like you very much value stability and feeling secure within yourself. And that's definitely why people find you so like irreplaceable, because like they find you as a source of stability whether or not you see it. And I don't think it's like from like a monetary, like, not from like a financial standpoint or anything like that, but people just feel very comfortable around you, because I feel like people very much notice that like you may have like gone through a lot, or like not like in a bad way, you know, but like you've seen a lot, and you very much have like processed things by yourself, you know, and you've really gone about things in your own methods. And because of that, it's just like people really seek you for your wisdom, and people really seek you for your foundation and what you have to say, because you're a very grounded person, and you're somebody who very much take things, you know, very slowly, you know. Especially with the stay back card, I feel like maybe sometimes people like, because this card, like, obviously it shows like a snake, so like I feel like maybe people have, this kind of makes me think of a few different things, but the first thought that came to mind was like, I feel like when people like push your buttons, like you lash out like a snake would, you know, like a snake would bite you if you disturb it, and, you know, it has venom, you know, or just bite you, and like that's not just, like, a bite still freaking hurts with or without the venom. So I feel like people have definitely faced that about you, and I feel like people like find that like they aren't gonna find somebody who is big, because like on the flip side, I feel like with this Cancer energy, you may also be very protective, and you may be somebody who stands up for people a lot, because I feel like if you're big on your own boundaries, then that's not to say that you don't tolerate other people being, you know, taken advantage of, exploited, or, you know, just like being treated incorrectly, you know. I feel like if you have like close family members or people you really care about being treated incorrectly, you'll literally be the first to stand up and be like, girl, what are you doing? I feel like you're the kind of person that like really encourages people to stand up for themselves, or really encourages people to, you know, practice self-defense, or, you know, take care of themselves, you know. I feel like maybe it comes off as tough love at times, but like I feel like it's just like people, if someone's getting like, you know, like bullied, I feel like you're the kind of person that goes to the person being bullied and teaches them how to toughen up, and teaches them how to defend themselves, you know, because I feel like you very much understand that you can't be there 100% of the time to protect those you care about. And so therefore, as like, obviously you'll step in when you can, but I feel like you're very big on teaching those that you care about on defending themselves, or like, you know, like broadcasting how to defend themselves, or, you know, like showing an example of how to do that. And I also feel like with the snake, you know, imagery that we have going on here, I feel like you don't tolerate snakes, you know, like people that are liars, people that are dishonest, people that, you know, are like constantly talking, or like, you know, people that are just like, you know, like rude or like nasty, you know. I feel like you just don't tolerate those kind of people, and I feel like because of that, it's just like, because you respect yourself so much, and like, you know, like very, no, I don't know how to say it, like you just like respect yourself, and you possess a lot of self-respect, and you really care about yourself and understand your own limits, and as a result, like you probably draw in a lot of people, and people are very drawn to you. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, people are just very drawn to you because of like your energy and because of the way you carry yourself. People are drawn to your confidence, and like I feel like a lot of, maybe you've had a lot of people want to be like taken under your wing, or you've like, a lot of people have wanted to learn how you do it, or like, you know, like see your perspective, you know. I feel like your speech and your energy and just the way you carry yourself is very inspirational and just very like grounding, like I've been saying, you know. Like, I feel like people feel very comfortable around you, and people feel very safe around you, whether or not you intend for people to feel that way, you know. People just feel like very comfortable around you. People feel very like safe around you, you know, like they're guarded, you know, and they feel like they can really stand up for themselves around you. And I just feel like you're a very empowering person, you know. I feel like you're all for self-empowerment, and you're all for boundaries, like I've been saying this whole pile. And I also feel like another thing that makes you very irreplaceable, pile 4, with this Cancer energy here, I just feel like you're somebody who is very home oriented. You're probably just like very comfort oriented. Like, you're probably somebody who really likes food, or really likes, you know, like cooking, or, you know, like good sense. Maybe you really like shopping. Like, I just feel like you're very into creature comforts and like physical comforts, and just like stimulating the 5 senses, and just feeling very like, you know, relaxed. I feel like you're a big person when it comes to self-care, or you're somebody that's very like interested in self-care, you know. Like, I feel like maybe you're very into skincare, nice clothes, comfortable clothes, nice blankets. I'm sensing you literally cannot sleep without a blanket. I mean, who can sleep without a blanket? But, you know, it's just like, I feel like you, especially pile 4, like you're just an all comfort seeking kind of person. And I feel like you're somebody who just like has like a really good relationship of like work and like labor, despite the fact that I probably said that, you know, I said that you may work yourself a lot, but I feel like when it comes down to it, when it comes down to relaxing, you're the first person that knows how to relax and really take care of themselves, you know. And I feel like other people also learn how to take care of themselves, and you probably learn about like a lot of things around you, you know. Like, I feel like people learn about like, oh my gosh, like you're the kind of person that like burns this candle, and they're like, oh my gosh, I've never smelled this scent before, what is it? And you're like, oh, it's this. And they're like, oh, I've never heard of it before, I'm gonna go buy some. Or like, you know, you show, like, I just feel like you're the person that is very adventurous and somebody who likes to try new things, and as a result, there's probably a lot of people around you that find you irreplaceable, because you seemingly bring a lot of enrichment and like new things and like novelty to people's lives, because it's like you're so adventurous that like you're willing to try new things with people. And I feel like also people love trying new things with you, because you probably have very good taste. You probably have very refined taste. You're probably a very like interesting person, and somebody who is just very much like, you have a lot of hobbies, you have a lot of interests, and you have a lot of things that you're fascinated and passionate about. And it's just like, it translates to different areas of your life, you know. Like, it could be like, you know, like learning cultures, or like, you know, like food, like I said, just anything. It could really be anything, you know. It really doesn't matter. Just the point is that like, I feel like across the board here, pile 4, what I'm trying to say is that you're all very passionate individuals, and you're people who really cares about like educating themselves and like being, you know, very progressive and making progress in their lives in more than one way, and setting boundaries, and, you know, navigating your life the way that like you feel comfortable in, and making life just so much more fulfilling, you know. I just feel like you're like a go big or go home kind of person, and because of that, like people just feel like very like uplifted around you, you know. Like, people feel very grand and very motivated around you, you know. So yeah, let's get into the tarot here. Yeah, I just feel like you're just like a very like I just feel like people feel very, I don't know how to explain it, uplifted around you. I feel like that's the best way to say it. People feel very motivated around you. People feel like, wow, like I suddenly just want to like get everything done, or, you know, like, or like, wow, like I really want to talk to pile 4 about what I've done, you know. I feel like people maybe seek your validation a lot, or people feel really good when you like approve of them, you know. And not to say that like you're like somebody who isn't gonna approve someone, you know. Like, you're a very accepting person, but it's just like, that's not to say that like your approval doesn't feel good, you know. I feel like people will truly never find somebody just like you, because I feel like you're also very real. I feel like you're very honest and you really say things for how they are. And it's very hard for people to come across somebody as honest and like transparent as you. And so like that's definitely one thing that also makes you really irreplaceable. Oh my gosh, I just dropped a card. Let's see what it is. It is the Devil card here. Let's see. Alright, what makes pile 4 irreplaceable? What makes pile 4 irreplaceable? What makes pile 4 irreplaceable? Alright, so with this Devil card here, I feel like for some of you, your romantic interests definitely don't forget you, because I feel like some of you are very physically attractive. I wouldn't be surprised if you've had ex-lovers try to come back to you, because they definitely see you as irreplaceable in more ways than one, if y'all know what I mean. Let's just keep it PG around here. But also with the Devil card here, I feel like this like kind of goes to show that like I think that you've learned from your own experiences. And what I mean by that is like obviously the Devil card deals with like addictions and bad habits and you know like things like that. So like let's be transparent about that. But what I feel like it's referencing is the fact that you've probably come from the devil. Not like the devil himself, you know, but like you know like that addictions and bad habits. I feel like you've seen it all, and I feel like you've really seen how like negative habits can like ruin somebody's life, or like you've seen how like you know like your day-to-day practices can be very unhealthy, and like how they have like a huge impact on like the long run of your life. Y'all, take it from me, but wear sunscreen. Don't question me, just wear it, okay? Just find a good sunscreen and just wear it, okay? It's just my tip of the day. But anyways, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like with this Devil card here, it definitely seems as if though, like, you're the kind of person, pile 4, that like you speak from experience, you know, like you have dealt with like bad habits and addictions and things like that. That's for some of you, not all of you. And when I say addictions, I don't mean like substances or anything like that. It could literally just be like a bad habit, you know. It could be doing like participating or like doing something or like skipping out on something when you know you shouldn't be. I got like a few different messages from this card, but you know, like I feel like you very much understand what it's like to like deal with something, or like, you know, and I feel like this definitely plays into like this stay back card, you know. I feel like you're so strong on your boundaries because you have dealt with situations in which you were like in a predicament, you know, or like you have dealt with like addictive situations or like participating in bad habits, and because of that like you work very hard to like establish boundaries and you know set your walls up so that you don't have to deal with those situations again. I wouldn't be surprised if some of you like you tell people like don't do this, I know from experience, you know. And it's like it's not even that, like I don't feel as if though not all of you have been addicted to something or like you have done something like bad or something like that. I don't know how to describe it, you know. I don't know how to word it. Like I'm just trying to say that like not all of you have done something really bad, but it's just like what I'm trying to say is you speak from experience and you very much understand when something could be bad. And I also feel like the Devil card also deals with like physical pleasures too, in my eyes, you know. That's why I was mentioning stuffs earlier. But you know, like I feel like for some of you, like you may also be very much into guilty pleasures. I feel like a lot of you, just like pile 4, like you may be somebody who is very much into guilty pleasures, or somebody who really knows how to live life a little bit more risky or dangerously, you know. I feel like you know how to make life fun. I'm not gonna lie, pile 4. I feel like you know how to have fun. I feel like you are the first person that like people think of when they think of party. Like you know how to get down, you know how to party, you know how to like you know how to dance, you know how to sing, you know how to do all the goods, like you know how to have fun, what I'm trying to say. Like, but that's not to say that you aren't a productive person. Like, I feel like you're, like, when it's time to party, you party. But when it's time to work, you work, you know? And I feel like because of that, it's just like, by nighttime, you're, like, partying. You're, like, turning up, you know, you're having fun. But by day, you're, like, working hard at your job. And, like, everyone loves you. And you're, like, employee of the month, you know? It's just, like, you live your life very... like you take your life very seriously and you live, at the same time, you don't take it seriously, you know? Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, you very much understand that life isn't that deep, but, like, that's not to say that you don't try. I just feel like you know how to live, you know? Like, you live your life to the fullest is what I'm saying. It's like you're a very lively person, and you're a very, like, gregarious person. Not gregarious. I don't think that's the word. Like, you're very enthusiastic. Like, you're very effervescent, you know? And you're somebody who is just, like, you bring a lot of gray into situations. I think that you very much understand that not everything's that black and white. And because of that, I feel like you are big on boundaries in the sense that, like, you very much understand that situation. Like, you understand that everyone's different, and you understand that not everyone's like you. And that definitely plays into why you're also irreplaceable, because you're just so, like, understanding. And, like, you're very willing, you know? Like, you're very willing to hear people out, and you're willing to hear what people have to say, you know? You're very open-minded, and you can be really flexible when it comes down to it, you know? Like, I feel like maybe at times, even when, like, you're reluctant to learn something, you're the kind of person that's like, I'll try anything once, you know? What else do we have here? We also have Knight of Swords. You're probably, like, I feel like you're a very intellectual person, or, like, somebody who is very well-spoken or outspoken. That's the word. I feel like you're somebody who is very opinionated, and you probably really stand by your morals, and you really stand by, like, your beliefs. And I feel like with the Knight of Swords, like, you're very adamant on getting your point across. I feel like maybe even when you're wrong, like, I feel like you're rarely ever wrong, to be honest, pile 4, and that definitely plays into, like, why you're irreplaceable. But I think that one of the reasons why you're irreplaceable is that, like, even when, like, you're wrong, or, like, when people, like, disagree with you, you're able to, like, comply, you know? You're able to stay very calm about it. You don't get butthurt that easily, and you don't really deal with petty drama that often. I feel like you just don't deal with that, you know? Like, you're somebody who is just like, it's whatever, like, or you're like, it's really not that big of a deal, you know? Like, I just feel like you don't take it that seriously, you know? And I just feel like you're somebody who really stands up for themselves, you know? I feel like if someone disrespects you, you don't just let it happen, you know? I feel like you're the kind of person that, like, you don't let something that you don't like happen more than once, you know? Definitely something that is just, like, unforgettable about you, and something that, like, people really remember about you, and people have trouble finding another person just like you in that sense, you know? And it's just, like, I feel like, you know, like, if you, this is such a specific example, but, like, someone goes on, like, a trip with you, and someone says something to you guys and it makes you uncomfortable, you'll be like, absolutely not. And, like, you just cut it off right then and there. Like, you really cut off a situation before it can grow, or before it can get any worse, you know? And I just feel like, I don't know, like, I just feel like with this Knight of Swords, like, you're somebody who is very quick-witted and quick on their feet, and maybe sometimes a little bit, like, verbally impulsive, and maybe sometimes you do or say things that, like, you kind of, like, not that you didn't mean, but, like, you can be kind of, like, maybe you speak in hyperbole sometimes, or, like, you can be very dramatic in your speech style, in the sense that, like, maybe sometimes you, like, will, like, dramatize things, be like, or, like, you know, you can be, like, very impatient, you know, like, for example, like, oh my gosh, I've been waiting for 10,000 years, even though you've probably been waiting for, like, 15 minutes. Or, like, I'll, like, cause loud explosions, or I'll, like, explode, even though, like, you're just, like, I don't know, like, just, like, mildly upset because, like, I don't know, like, your ice cream melted in your car or something like that, you know? What else do we have here? We also have the moon. Yeah, you could have prominent Pisces or Cancer in your chart, but I feel like with the moon card and the devil card, I also feel like you're very good at uncovering truths. I feel like you're very good at exposing people and situations for what they really are, especially with the Knight of Swords. I wouldn't be surprised if people find you very irreplaceable because you're able to call out different situations and, like, really call it out for what it is, you know? Like, I feel like you're really no BS kind of person when it comes to that, and I feel like you're very good at deciphering and, like, breaking codes, or, like, breaking information, you know? I feel like you're a very good researcher, or somebody who is very well informed. You may be a very political person, or somebody who is very well informed in terms of politics, work, you know, community-based things, or, like, social media. Like, you're just somebody who's very well read, and somebody who has a lot of knowledge on different subjects, especially when in regards to society and, like, different things like that, you know? Like, you know something. Like, I feel like that's kind of, like, the vibe that people pick up from me. Like, Pile 4 knows something, you know? And that's definitely something that makes you very irreplaceable because, like, you hold a lot of cards. No pun intended. You know, like, you're a very intelligent person and you're somebody who is very well informed and you're somebody who is very well educated. I wouldn't be surprised if this is, like, my older pile or, like, you know, like the pile that's, like, graduated college or, like, you're working towards, like, a very, like, hard degree or, you know, or, like, you're very, like, serious about education and constantly learning, you know, whether or not you are in school. I feel like you're just somebody who is very well educated and somebody who is very eager to learn. You're just a very curious and inquisitive person, I'm sensing pile 4, and you're always trying to learn something new, and that's definitely something that, like, people don't forget about you and something that people find you irreplaceable. Like, I feel like teachers have never met a student that's as eager to learn as you, or like people that are like, people have never met somebody as eager to learn about them just like you know, especially of, like, different cultural backgrounds, you know. I feel like there's this thing about you that's, like, you're probably very fascinated by other cultures and different customs. I feel like you love learning new things about those, and, you know, once again goes back to the fact that you're probably very adventurous. And with this moon card here, I just think that you're very good at, like, just uncovering things. I feel like maybe some of you are very into true crime or you're very into, like, mysteries or, like, you know, ghost stories or things like that. That's for some of you, not all of you. But I just feel like as a whole here, like, you're just a very grounded person and you're very much able to see through things before they, like, even started, you know. Like, I feel like you're able to see through people's intentions, and I think that you're the kind of person that can sniff out a terrible or, like, a personal, like, a bad intention person from, like, a mile away. I feel like your intuition is very sharp, and I feel like your gut has more often than not predicted a bunch of different situations, especially in regarding to how people are going to be. I feel like your first impressions of people are always perfect. I feel like people have never had a bad first impression of you. Like, you are just such a, like, professional and somebody who is just very good at social situations. You're just, like, you know what to say and you know how to assert yourself, you know. You're very confident. I'm going to pull one more card before we kind of wrap things up here. We also have the Lovers card here. You could be a Gemini, but, you know, like, I feel like the Gemini energy here is that, like, you're also a very loving person. And I feel like you're also, like, once again, like, a very, like, romantically or, like, maybe even, like, just, like, in other ways alluring, you know. But that's for some of you, not all of you. But I definitely do think that, like, you're a very, like, harmonizing person, or you're somebody who is just, like, very, like, talkative or very, like I said, inquisitive. I don't know what it is about you, pile 4. I just feel like you're very, like, intelligent and curious. Like, I just feel like conversations with you are so fun. Like, I feel like you're such a good conversationalist because you're so, like I said, like, well learned and so, like, educated, and it's just, like, you know so much, and, like, conversations with you are just so, like, liberating and so, like, enlightening. And I feel like every time people talk to you, they learn something new about either you or, like, a specific topic that whatever you guys were talking about, you know. And in that sense, I feel like it's very hard for, like, you're just so irreplaceable in the knowledge you know and, like, the experiences you've gone through, you know. It's because, like, all of the knowledge you possess isn't all just from, like, you know, reading and learning about different things, you know. It's also about your experiences and the things you've gone through. And obviously, like, your experiences are completely unique to you. So therefore, like, no matter, no matter who's watching this pile, what I'm trying to say is, like, each of you, like, has something completely new and a different slice of wisdom to bring to the table, because all of you have gone through different things. And, you know, obviously being so emotional and, like, you know, setting up all these boundaries and dealing with different situations that have probably been stressful for you. It's like you guys have learned so much, and because of that, you've really grounded yourself through your experiences and, like, what you faced and how, you know, how you've overcome things and how you've been productive, and, like, your relationships with your productivity and, like, your relationships with people, different cultures, where you've lived, what you've done, you know. Like, all of these play into these experiences and your knowledge and your ability to seemingly, like, uncover situations and really expose people, companies, anybody or anything for what it or what they truly are, you know. And because of that, like, you just have such a good relationship with yourself, and, like, you have, like, people probably, like, have really good relationships with you too. And I wouldn't be surprised if you've had, like, a lot of secret admirers, because, like, you're probably very beautiful or you're very, like, alluring, you know. And I feel like people have also been probably very intimidated by you or felt very threatened by you because like you are somebody who is so sure of themselves, very confident, and knows like their limits and very much knows themselves, period. I feel like I'm just going to wrap up this reading, Pile 4, by saying that you are a very well-educated person and you're somebody who has faced a lot of different things within their life, no matter how long or how short you've lived. It's just like you've had a lot of experiences, and because of that, it plays into your like wisdom and like your knowledge, and like also like your ability to like expose things and see right through people and their intentions and different situations, and like your boundaries and like your productivity, your protectiveness, and like your emphasis on living a good life is really what makes you so like irreplaceable, because like your philosophies and like your mottos and like morals are so strong and so like just like raw and real, you know? And you're just like such a grounded person in that sense. So yeah. That's all I have for you, Pile 4. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this reading, do go check out Capricorn Venus and Moonful Readings. Like I said, they'll probably provide just as much context. But other than that, I love you so much. Bye.